So you found a skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the third annual Cambrian Bunny Awards. This is not the nomination show, this is the actual award show where we unveil the winners as if you couldn't just go check my community tab to find out for yourself who won. Now, I understand that TD has to BRB real quick, so we're actually going to start with him, and then we're going to go counterclockwise with our guests. We're hopefully going to be joined by a couple more guests as time goes on, but we're just going to start now. So TD, who are you? Why are you here? And then go get your dinner or whatever it is, I don't know.
I'm T. Lane. I am here because I stole the election for worst use of the English language.
Yeah, you
Thank
did.
me later.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right, Zach, who are you?
Hello, I'm Zach Hancock. I'm a postdoc at the University of Michigan. I'm an evolutionary biologist. I specialize in population genetics. Run a YouTube channel at Talk Pop Gen where we do a little evolution education, some pseudoscience debunking, and a little bit of history and philosophy of science. And I'm here because I've forgotten most of the nominees, and I'm hoping that y'all can remind me and we can figure out who won. Yeah.
All right. And of course, Dan, who are you?
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm also an evolutionary biologist. I have a channel called Creation Myths, and I take the claims of scientific creationism and treat them way more seriously than they ought to be treated and talk about why they are wrong.
Nice.
And I have not looked at the nominations since we did the nomination stream, so I have no idea who's ahead. I have no idea who won. Okay. I'm excited to hear.
Yeah,
what I can say is my hope, I don't know what will be funnier, because Rob Carter, if you recall, Dr. Rob Carter got nominated in every category.
Yes,
I don't know what would be funnier, if he won every category or if he lost every category, but I hope one of those things happens.
Okay. Well, Meldeborn for $15 says, I hope you get something to eat soon, you poor starving theropod. Yeah. You know, I have to follow the U.S. hunting regulations out here. It makes it very hard to feed myself. To get tags? Come on, that's not how it worked in Jurassic. If I was hungry, I just went out and ate a Stegosaurus. If I could catch it, which was far from sure. You know they had armored throats? Come on, what's up with that? That's very inconvenient. Anyway, all right, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go from the fewest votes on the poll, the most votes, because I was wondering, how do I order the, just the awards? And that's what I went with. So the poll that got the fewest votes, with 293 votes, was who was the best overall young Earth creationist of 2023. Our nominees were Rob Carter, for actually engaging with critics, Mike Johnson, because he somehow managed to become the Speaker of the House, and he has an author page on AIG, so he counts as a creationist.
He counts.
And then Marcus Roche, for actually pushing back against other young Earth creationists in their own LARP journals, right? Not just going on his YouTube channel, but actually writing papers and getting them published in, I hate just calling them journals.
The fake journals. The fake journals.
They're professional publications, the kind of thing that they like to wave around as if they're actually doing science. So, our runner-up for who was the best overall young Earth creationist of 2023 is Dr. Robert Carter. He had 29% of the votes.
Not good.
And so now I know at least you, Dan, you nominated him. So
I nominated him.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Robert Carter and why you think he's the best overall young Earth creationist? Has anything changed in the last month about your assessment about him or anything?
No, you know what? I stand by my assessment of Rob Carter's 2023 performance as the best in young Earth creationism. And I know that's not a super high bar, right? We're grading on a curve here. Mm-hmm. But, I nominated Rob Carter for this category because there are two things that Rob Carter accomplished in 2023 that young Earth creationists almost never do. One of them is sustained technical engagement with critics. Say what you want about how wrong he is, which is extremely, is how I would characterize it. But, he went back and forth. He's actually putting in work, running simulations, actually like constructing models and figuring out stuff. And like, you know what? Creationists don't do that, going back and forth with their critics. They tend to just like throw it out there and then just like forget that anyone's responding to it and ignore that
if
ever
they
happens.
respond at all, it's almost only to other young Earth creationists.
Or if they respond to evolutionists, it's in the manner of one of my other nominees that we'll get to later on.
Of course.
But Rob didn't do that. He actually, like, you know, kind of had this sustained, like, actually productive, you know, back and forth. And that led to the other reason why I nominated him, which is that it led to both parties participating in that, finding errors and refining what they were doing. So that, like...
That's what you want in science, really.
Yeah, he like, accidentally did a science. Like,
hey,
somebody said something, that somebody was Guts a Gibbon, Erica. Yep. And then he said something back, and they went back and forth, and they both found errors and then corrected those errors. And it was like, congratulations, you did a science. Amazing. And so that's why I nominated him. But apparently, he still lost. So now I kind of hope, sorry, Rob, now I hope you lose everything, because that would be funny.
All right. Now, our winner for the best overall Young Earth Creationist of 2023, with 66% of the vote, a commanding lead, is in fact the one and only Dr. Marcus Ross. Because, and this was actually my nominee. It was my only nominee this past year because there were so many people on the panel this year that I felt like I didn't need to make a nomination for every single category. And so I saw that only 2 people had been nominated for that category, and I was like, all right, I'm going to throw my pick in the hat for that one. Because, you know, for the other ones, I would have picked something that someone else picked already, so who cares? Now, Marcus Ross was a lead author on a paper, and this is what I nominated him for, critiquing another creationist paper by one Gabriella Haynes, who was an invertebrate paleontologist trained in, like, a real university in Brazil. She's actually got the PhD. She's not like Kent Hovind or anything who doesn't. Bye, Zach. I'm sure he'll be back. But her paper was just atrocious. It was laughably bad. It's hard for me to even comprehend the degree to which it was a bad paper. And I went over it on my channel, and I was happy to see that shortly after, Marcus Ross and his buddies, who were kind of included in this, right? There was a bunch of people who were on this paper, came back swinging with what I thought was an excellent paper overall. I mean, yeah, it was published in the ARJ, so it had some weird stuff in it about, like, you know, how do we square this with the Bible? I'm like, I don't care. But when it actually came to the actual discussing the problems that were in the original paper that Haynes did, I agreed with him in basically every single point. There was, I think, one part where I was like, I think he could be a little bit more charitable. If anything, he was harsher than I was. And I was like, I don't think that's entirely fair. I think it's on a good trajectory, but like maybe pull it back a little bit there, Ross. But yeah, overall, it was excellent. I mean, he went through all the same problems that I found. Like, he noticed that Gabrielle Haynes cited the Linnaean classification for birds, while saying that we should stick with this traditional Linnaean classification, while also noting that most of the animals she identified as birds did not meet the Linnaean definition for a bird, which means she's also rejecting that definition in practice. And also, Russ Keller for $1.99 says, congratulations, Marcus Ross. Yes, congratulations. Marcus, if you are... Oh, sorry, Dr. Ross, I want to be formal here. This is a very fancy event, as you can see by the ties. Yep. If you are interested, please contact me with your shipping information, and I will have I will print for you a 3D copy of the Cambrian Bunny trophy, and I will make sure that your name is visible in the little nameplate, but if you want it to be in color, you're going to have to paint it yourself, because I'm way too lazy for that. I probably also won't sand it for you. But hey, you can get a nice 3D copy of the Cambrian Bunny trophy. So, you know, let me know. Hawkskull for £2 says, a reminder that AIG equals attaché of ignorant gonads, and I will take a drink for that. There's our first official drink. Like, I'm sipping on this rum and coke here every once in a while. This is not a formal event, but you can still send the drink triggers. That's why we have the drink counter up there.
I mean, it's a formal event, but we're not playing by the formal rules.
Yeah, it's formal dress code, but the actual event itself is sort of laid back. Like, it's laid back with formal dress, you know? Sure. Table manners are right out the window.
Casual, formal.
Yeah, you know. All right, so the award that is next is the award for Young Earth Creationists with the worst use of the English language in 2023, with 305 votes. Our nominees are Sam from Redefine Living, who kept saying nuclear decay. We have Paul Price for information without defining it, and also using the word mega beneficial, which I don't even know what that's supposed to like. I guess I can kind of figure out what it might be supposed to be meaning, but that's not a word. We also have the Discovery Institute for their nearly constant use of the word Darwinism or Darwinian. There we go. We have Robert Carter for calling the Answers Research Journal a journal, which it absolutely is not. And then we have Robert Byers, who had a sentence that started, "I am creationists, whales did change body plans."
Honestly, it's just for his very existence of all of his posts, really.
Yeah.
But that was the one that was used as an example.
Hang on, Dapper, Jordan is here.
Oh. Welcome, Jordan. Who are you? Say hi to everybody.
I'm here. We can do the news now. I'm
Okay.
Jordan with Reason to Doubt, your source for all things skeptical, and the second most well-dressed person here.
Obviously, I'm the most well-dressed.
I'm the
No,
first.
it's clearly me.
I mean, I'm in a worn-out T-shirt and sweatpants. I think I'm winning.
Pixar didn't happen.
Watch Erica show up and like just like absolutely show us all up while she's wearing like some kind of like evening gown with an absurdly fancy tiara or something. That's what I'm expecting.
No, she's gonna be wearing either one of her pieces of merch or some T-shirt. And
A Gibbons suit.
Oh,
That would also be
because
pretty
that's her style too.
All right, so
Yeah.
because
Okay.
we have enough nominees for this one, I'm going to start with the second runner-up. The second runner-up for the Young Earth Creationists with the worst use of the English language in 2023 is Robert Carter.
So I missed. Have I missed it? Is Carter still on track for the full Jensen?
Okay, so I think we need a bit of background here. So just a little word on terminology for people who were not here last year is Jensen was nominated in multiple categories, didn't win any of them. So the word for being nominated in at least 2 categories and not getting a Cambrian bunny is the Jensen. Now, if you are nominated in every category and you do not win, that is called the full Jensen.
There we go. He's on track for a full Jensen so far.
So far, he is on. We're 2 for 2. We are on track for a hashtag Carter sweep, the full Jensen.
Full Jensen. Yep. All right. So now, Robert Carter, interestingly enough, in 2023, published a video on his YouTube channel, which was one of his most viewed videos by a pretty wide margin, mostly because the people here, as well as Erica, all kind of picked up on that and started talking about it, and maybe, I don't know, sharing it, things like that. So in that, though, he was referring to the Answers Research Journal as a journal, while also in the same video saying that they wouldn't have published someone who wasn't a Young Earth creationist in the first place. And here's how you know that a journal isn't a journal. If it has an ideological sign-on before you can publish in it. That's not how journals work. You can publish in a journal while believing literally anything. What matters is, can your work pass muster? If the answer is yes, then you'll get published. If the answer is no, you won't. Young Earth creationists are welcome to publish in real journals. They do publish in real journals when they do good work. Of course, rather
Or when they do
conveniently,
bad work.
well, sometimes. But rather conveniently, when they manage to publish in real journals, it tends not to be anything that really supports Young Earth creationism, which is weird, isn't it?
Well, that's because those ivory tower bastards are holding
yes.
the line.
Of course.
I mean, there are people that are follow these kind of pseudoscientific things. There's ancient aliens and Atlantis proponent who's the one that did the very iffy dating of Gudam Panan. And
Oh, yeah.
He is a legitimate geologist, though. He has published before, so
I gotta say,
yeah.
I hate that the reason that people now know about Gunung Padang is because of, like, weird ancient aliens, Atlantis conspiracy theories, because it's a legitimately cool archaeological and geological site. And
It's a fascinating intersection between natural geology being used to make a human structure.
Yeah, like
and being taken advantage of.
it's
And
this
very
hill.
cool
It's this
terraced
hill full of like columnar basalt, right? And people took the columnar basalt and used it to make buildings, which is really cool because columnar basalt is really cool, and using it as a building material is pretty unusual, and that's a really cool thing. And yeah, so now it's featured on that Hancock thing on Netflix. Now everyone just knows it as like maybe this is the site of an ancient pre-Ice Age civilization that went extinct at the Younger Dryas. Like, oh my god.
No,
Gotta be honest, that's the only
literally a
reason I know of it.
volcano.
Yeah, it's look. At least people know about it. I guess I'd rather have them know about it than not, and I'd most like them to know about it for really good reasons and not stupid, silly reasons. But whatever.
Maybe some portion of the people who know about it for dumb reasons will go on to learn about the good reasons.
Probably, I think some will.
There you go.
In fact, I think that would mean the people here who've heard of Gunung Padang might be in that group. So all right. So that was Robert Carter, and then we went into like weird pseudoscience, other things, because as far as I know, Robert Carter is not on board with ancient pre-Ice Age civilizations or ancient aliens. Both of those seem like they would violate his young Earth creationist beliefs. So he's that's one of those things he's not going for.
As long as it was just one ice age, it's still fine with young Earth creation.
I mean, they don't have a whole lot of time to fit a whole civilization in there.
Just one.
So doesn't that Ice Age supposedly start like 100 years after the flood?
Yeah, I think it's like within a couple centuries, and then it lasts a couple centuries. Yeah, it.
And then also, boom, Old Kingdom in Egypt, complete with modern animals right in the hieroglyphics.
I think it's Middle Kingdom Egypt, actually. They basically, like, Old Kingdom Egypt has to take, like, 50 years. It's not a topic for tonight, but I think the chronology is such that
Really?
Old Kingdom Egypt has to be within the span of, like, less than a century. Yeah,
The
it doesn't
whole
work.
thing?
I'm pretty sure. I looked into this one time.
Is it during their supposed
Lifetime, and
Ice
they're like,
Age?
that was the old kingdom, guys.
One guy, like, that was the old king, done.
RJ Downard has looked into this, I think.
Oh man, yeah.
If
Creationists
anyone has, it's RJ, yeah.
Creationists have to do such weird things with ancient Egypt.
Sorry. That digression was my fault. Dapper, who was the first runner-up?
Look, first of all, don't apologize for digressions because we've got a while yet. We're not even close to like in a time crunch, so I don't care. But the first runner-up for the young Earth creationists with the worst use of the English language, with 21% of the vote, is the Discovery Institute for their use of Darwin and Darwinism and all these other forms of this. And yeah, here's the thing, right? Darwin wrote a really long time ago in terms of the history of science. Now, if you're looking at like just the history of written language, yeah, sure, he was basically yesterday. But science moves fast. At least it does now. And yeah, his ideas have long since been put into the realm of like historical science. And granted, we still accept things like variation in populations, selection, and things like that, right? Those are still things. He came up with sexual selection. He came up with convergent evolution. None of these have been abandoned. But the idea that a scientist today is basing his ideas about evolution on the writings of Darwin is absolutely ludicrous.
Are you saying that Darwin got things wrong? How dare you?
I am. He, in fact, got a lot of things wrong. He also got a lot of things right. Like, he was the first person to figure out that barnacles seem to be crustaceans and not mollusks, as had been previously thought. If I remember correctly, he did this on the basis of looking at their larvae, which turned out to be naupliar larvae, which was a characteristic of crustaceans, and was not a mollusk thing at all. So, you know, he did find out a whole lot of cool stuff, but it's sort of like calling someone who's currently designing like a new heat engine or something for like a train or a ship or something. It's like, well, you're just using your Kelvinist dogmas about heat transfer and thermodynamics. It's like no one talks like that, dude. That's
and
not
also
a thing.
like Darwinism has a historical meaning that's not merely it's one is the adherence to natural selection, but it's also the adherence to Darwin's concept of heredity.
Yeah, which
right?
is
And
wrong.
Darwin's concept of heredity was pangenesis, which was in general is a kind of Lamarckian sort of inheritance where the environment could impact the soma, and then the soma would send the message to the gametes, and then you would pass that on. Neo-Darwinism, alternatively, is the transition from Darwinist perspective to the idea of natural selection and the Weismann barrier, where there's actually a distinction between the soma and the germplasm. So, like, these words aren't just like an adherence to Darwin, but they actually have like very specific historical meanings that we've long since overturned and abandoned. And using them out of their context, I feel like obscures this history.
Listen to this guy, this like pointy-headed scientist having the nerve to tell creationists that words have meanings.
Actually, I can see his head. It's bizarrely round at this point. Erica, welcome. All right, I asked the same question to everyone. Who are you and why are you here?
Oh, hello. I'm Erica. I'm Guts Gibbon. I'm here because I like dunking on creationism with the science friends here. It's one of my favorite things to do. These days, though, and by these days, I mean literally just the past week, I've been duking it out with race realists instead. So I've been having a nice little refresher. I've dipped my toe into a different pool for the past little while. It's honestly nice. It's nice to get back to the creationism.
Is this going to be a new addiction, or are you going to be jumping into race realist live streams now?
Oh God! Honestly, they're so much less fun because what they're doing isn't haha, let's come up with an interesting way to tackle this flood model that's new and can't work for a myriad of different reasons. Instead, they're just emotionally appealing to human tribalism and being shitty and hoping that they can get other people to act shitty as well, and just being blatantly wrong on genetics, morphology, and biogeography, serially. So it's been really great. I honestly find it's giving me a new appreciation for creationist behavior, actually, because they're genuinely just better in every way than these guys.
And it's already a low bar.
Creationists better than blatant racists.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hey guys. By the way, Roast in the Keller for $1.99 says, "I will forever stand Pangenesis and Gemules." I mean, feel free to stand them, but I mean, they're kind of fake.
While we're talking about this, I just want to remind everybody of the time I spent over an hour talking to Michael Behe, and one of the things we talked about the first time we talked was about the definition of Darwinism. And Zach, this is going to make your head explode because I pointed out, you keep saying Darwinism, that word does not mean the thing you are using it to mean. And his response after extracting teeth to try to get down to the substance of this topic was Dr. Michael Behe, one of old Earth creationist, intelligent design dude, one of the very much on the respectable side of the spectrum,
quote unquote.
The way he defined Darwinism was any undirected evolutionary process. He lumped in under the head. Oh, it's all Darwin. If it's not consciously directed, it's Darwinism. Which, if we were doing these awards back then, either worst argument or worst use of the English language, that would
both. You can be nominated for the same argument in two categories. It's allowed.
They have to tack ism onto it to make it scary. They have to just put ism on there so they can make it spookier and easy to hate.
Speaking of which, April Van Rhines, who's been a member for 11 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says, "If I'm a Darwinist, I'm also a Newtonist and a Boerist." Yeah, there's a lot of ists out there, right? Probably a Newtonist, an Einsteinist, a Boerist, a Darwinist, an Ohmist. I'm an Ohmist. I think there's resistance in electricity. I think that's a thing.
I'm a Darwinist myself.
I'm personally okay with some of these. There were the Darwinists, there were the neo-Darwinists. Groups of people did exist, but they don't exist anymore. Those are historical terms.
The thing is,
groups of thought.
When the Discovery Institute is using these words, they are not referring to that historical group of people. They're using it the way Behe is, to basically mean anyone who does not explicitly use a supernatural hand, or a guiding hand at least, in evolution or in biology generally speaking. And that's not.
I wonder then, would change within a kind be a Darwinist type of change? Because in and of itself, it's not being directly intervened upon by a deity.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so.
It would be, right?
Yeah. Well, so I do want to point out, Behe does not reject any ability for what he would call Darwinist, processes to make changes to organisms. He accepts that, to be fair to him.
He just says they aren't capable of making the change necessary, in particular because, again, to Behe's credit, in the spectrum of creationists,
right.
He's an old earther. He accepts universal common ancestry. He just says evolutionary processes can't do it. You have, the designer tinkering along, guiding the process, right?
His idea seems to be evolution proceeds as it's described in evolutionary biology most of the time, but there are certain things that exist in life that would have required there to be some other explanation that he thinks would have to be some kind of intelligent intervention through some kind of, essentially what amounts to genetic engineering, right? It could have been via miraculous means or something, which is what he thinks, because he's a Catholic, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so like he doesn't reject natural selection, he doesn't reject mutation, he doesn't reject beneficial mutations. So he's like a weird bedfellow for young Earth creationists, because they really like his irreducible complexity argument. But what they don't like to talk about is the fact that, he's way closer to the actual scientific consensus on almost everything than any young Earth creationist is.
We should call his brand of OEC creationist evolution.
Ultimately,
he's not.
It's like a weird version of theistic evolution.
He's not that different from like Francis Collins, really. It's just which kind of aspect of it do they emphasize? Like Francis Collins, famously devoutly religious, head of the Human Genome Project, accepts all of mainstream biological science, but also says like, I believe God was behind this process. Okay, that's essentially intelligent design, but it doesn't emphasize that, right? Whereas B, kind of the same, but like emphasizes the designer part.
But Collins proposes that it's a mechanism, no different than chemistry or physics, that it's like set forward at creation, and then it's like it runs its own course, right? Whereas Behe would propose that there's like interactive intervention, if memory serves. And what's weird is that, and I don't really know how to grapple with this, but it seems like Cy-Gart is our transitional fossil here between the two of them. Like a little bit Collins and a little bit Behe. So.
Now Collins, though, his position seems to me to be the more impressive. Like, if I'm looking at like a being who like makes this machine but then constantly has to like tinker with it, whereas another one who like designs this perfect mechanism and then just go, that's way more impressive.
To me, it kind of feels like, so I do physics simulations on computers sometimes for 3D stuff, right? Like my tie has a physics simulation on it. And every single time I set up a new physics simulation, I think I have the simulation set up correctly. I am always wrong. I have never gotten it right the first try, ever. And I always have to go back up. And to me, the idea that, like, God is basically, he's running a complete physics simulation. Everything is there. And it's all set up the right way the first time, and he doesn't have to come back and do a second run. That, to me, is very impressive, because I have, like, some personal experience with that kind of thing.
How do we know this is the first run?
That's a good point.
I think there's actually like something dangerous too, like Collins and Cy-Gart and a lot of these like kind of thinkers, and they are the ones that consistently reject things like junk DNA. They consistently come up with really preposterous things like natural genetic engineering is James Shapiro's thing. Like, these are quote unquote evolutionary.
Do they reject junk DNA? Because, like, if memory serves, that Behe conversation, by the end, I think it was Behe. Was it Behe who had the conversation with Dan, who by the end of the conversation was basically like, ENCODE was not what it was peddled.
That might have been Rana.
Yeah,
that might have been Rana.
But that's the problem with this kind of like thinking, is that even if you accept evolution writ large, you're actually really only accepting natural selection more often than not, because like you think there was a designer that set everything in motion, so everything got created perfectly naturally. But like genetic drift, mutation, recombination, gene flow are non-adaptive mechanisms. And like those things are just as important and often more important than natural selection. And that's why we have so much junk in our genomes. Yeah. And so like these sorts of things often are rejected by people that have this sort of theistic evolution perspective, and I think they are actually bastardizing evolutionary biology often because of it.
Okay, Zach, you actually are someone I want to run this by, because I'm working on a video series in the background, which shouldn't be news to anyone. But one of the arguments that came up was that if mutations aren't actually random in some kind of fundamental way, like if there's any possibility that they're actually deterministic right down to like the chemistry, right? Like if you could know enough about the chemistry, if that means that you could predict a mutation, then therefore evolution doesn't work. Just like how, like technically dice rolls aren't actually random. They're deterministic. If you can figure out all of the variables and measure them exactly, you can know exactly how a dice is going to roll. The argument was basically mutations are really like that. And therefore, they're not random, and therefore, evolution is wrong. And I was thinking, in a model, all that matters is, can I predict these reliably? And if the answer is no, then I can treat them as random.
But I think,
it makes.
But I think there's something fundamental to this, and that like fundamentally physics is not strictly deterministic, right? Like we go back to like Heisenberg's famous 1920 quote, and that all laws, and the reason that there appears to be any consistency of physical laws is that the mechanism underlying all of them is chance. And so if we actually like recognize that the physical universe is determined probabilistically, and that's not to say that like we can't make predictions, because probability is our ability to make those predictions. And across the genome, we can model mutations as probabilistically occurring, but to like be able to say this specific moment, this specific replication event is going to lead to a mutation, I think is an impossibility, like at the fundamental physics level.
Well, depending on your interpretation of quantum mechanics, though, it might still be deterministic. World gang.
I will say. See, I think this is a distinction between the more physics people and the more bio people, because I 100% endorse what Zach just said. And that's why even in my classes, I tell my classes I don't like the word random. I like the word probabilistic. Okay. Right? There's a probability distribution, and we can make predictions according to that distribution, but we can't predict like specific event outcomes. But we can make predictions according to that distribution.
By the way, it works really well. Like it works incredibly well. Like if you have enough draws from this distribution, so you observe enough replication events and cell division events, you can predict how many mutations you expect to see within like a really tight confidence interval. So like we actually are really good at predicting, just not the specific mutation at the specific point in time.
Further than that, you can predict the type of mutation, transition versus transversion, C to T, A to G. Like you can predict those ratios as well. But which specific cytosine is going to undergo deamination first, that we can't do.
Well, that's actually one of the things that I also brought up in that series, which, by the way, if you want to see that series, you have two options. You can become a patron or a channel member, or you can wait until like August, because that's probably when it's going live. So,
you're ahead on your schedule.
How are you this far ahead, Dapper? I can't even keep my head above water.
I spend 8 to like 16 hours a day on video production. That's how.
That is 8 to 15 more than me.
Yeah,
I'm 1 week ahead. If I am lucky, I am 1 week ahead.
My goal is to get 52 videos ahead, and then go to 2 videos a week for 6 months, and then just kind of. You know,
I'm what 3 years and 8 months behind. Sounds good to me.
So
Dan, I don't even know how you're doing the one a week right now. Like I'm barely making one every 2 weeks, and it's just been it's fun.
Well, here's this thing. Here's a little peek behind the curtain. I'm doing my one a week thing, and it's working really well. But my backup plan is I have those stupid AIG The Answers book.
The Answers.
I have 4 of those, and if there's ever a week where I don't have something ready, I can just real quick go through a chapter of The Answers book live. Yeah. It'll take 20 minutes, and I'm good. And so, like, it hasn't happened yet, but at some point, probably within the next year, probability distribution. I bet there's going to be like a 4-week span where I just do 4 weeks of wrong answers only, because that's all I have time for. You know, I'll make it work. I'm really trying.
Roasting a Keller for $4.99 says, "Can we all agree that uniform randomness exists nowhere in the universe for any process?" I don't actually know. I don't know that I would take a position on that.
Uniform randomness.
I don't think we can be sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
As in like a uniform distribution.
What about
like just flat
negative infinity to positive infinity?
Yeah,
or it could be bounded.
For you, like what about decay? Like what about radioactive decay? Is that not true randomness? Like the rate at which any given?
It seems to be.
It depends. So it depends on your interpretation of quantum mechanics.
Right. So exactly.
If you take the traditional shut up and calculate interpretation of quantum mechanics, then yeah, it's truly random.
Yeah.
If you're more Everettian like myself, then it's not. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's random. Like
yeah.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, Lane, go ahead, and then I have a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop your single F-bomb for the stream.
It's so early.
Taking it.
It's all fucking physics, man.
It
It's all physics.
So yeah, what was the question, Dan?
My question was that was Discovery Institute for runner-up
Yes.
for worst use of the English language, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So who won worst use of the English language? I think I know.
That is a great question. Now, the winner for the Young Earth creationists with the worst use of the English language in 2023, with 41% of the vote, a
gonna be
very
Byers.
handy lead, is indeed Robert Byers.
Yeah, that's
Who is
fair
TD's.
enough.
Robert Byers is like. Reading his Reddit posts it's sort of like reading like the pre-alpha build of ChatGPT just turned loose on creationist literature and asked to spit it back out. It's incomprehensible nonsense, full of things that like even other young Earth creationists would just be like, what are you even trying to say, dude? Like, I don't even know what your point is. It's just gibberish, and I don't understand how a human has produced those posts.
I just want to say that TD Lane nominating Byers for this category was a cheat code. Like, you can't do that again next year. Okay,
Yeah,
nobody
fair.
will ever win this category again.
You're not allowed to win twice in a row, anyways.
Sure.
But I think that Byers
worry.
almost deserves like a permaban
Like,
from
we
this
should-
category.
Like, can we call it like there's like the worst behaved award should just be named like the Kent
Kent Hovind
Hovind
Award?
worst behaved
Yeah.
creationist
Yeah,
award.
this is the-
And then you can't get nominated for that award.
This is
And
the Robert
one-
Byers.
This could be the Robert Byers worst use of the English language
Yeah,
award, and then
okay.
you can never get nominated for that award ever again.
You will have to
Don't
remind
worry,
me of that
Dan.
fact, though.
We're
Yes.
gonna try.
We will. Don't worry, Dan. I'll nominate him for worst argument.
I don't know if you guys don't know this or not, but like I don't actually have a list of rules or anything written down for this. This is
Oh,
this is
Yeah, it feels
yeah,
weird.
it's all up in my brain, and like this is this isn't actually a serious show. This is just a fun little thing we do once a year. So all right, now let's see what was the next most voted on poll. The next
Well,
most voted on
Gabber,
poll was
before-
sorry.
Before you go, I'd like to thank you for letting me seal the election.
yes,
I'd like
yes.
to thank Robert Byers for being Robert Byers. And I'd like to thank the chat for voting. It's
Yes,
very nice of you.
although we actually have a lot more people who voted than people who are in chat because we have like 4 times as many voters as we do viewers right now. So a lot of people.
Chat are the real MVPs.
Also, you're allowed to vote as many times as you have accounts on YouTube, and if you want to spam like 100 votes by making 100 alt accounts on YouTube, you're welcome to. It's a little late now, but
for future
next year.
reference,
Right.
for future reference, we, the Cambrian Bunny Committee, strongly encourage voter fraud.
absolutely.
It's true.
In
Yeah,
the context of the
Early and
Cambrian
often,
Bunny
baby.
Awards.
Early on, like, look,
I wanna put that out
I'm
there.
I'm from New Jersey. How do you vote in Hudson County, New Jersey? Early and often.
All right, so with 396 votes total, we have the category the worst behaved young Earth creationist in 2023. Now, our second runner up is in fact Jeffrey Tompkins. Erica, would you like to say a few things about Jeffrey Tompkins as our second runner up for worst behaved creationist in
I mean,
2023?
Tompkins, honestly, the thing about Tompkins is he's just such a coward.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like all of the other creationists, and not all of them, but the suite of creationists that we typically engage with here, all of them, to my understanding, we've actually engaged with one-on-one at some point or another. Jeanson, right? Carter, all of these people. Behe,
A lot.
right? Like I struggle to come up with one that like we wanted to that we've never gotten to engage with, except
I can give you a whole list if you want. I can give you
yeah.
a whole list of all of the people I have reached out to and have either ignored me or very politely told me to go F myself.
But
It's
at
a
le's they were
long list.
polite and they communicated with you. They were like, yeah, I'm not coming on your show because you're going to, roast me alive. Right. But like Tompkins, his strategy is just to pretend that none of this is happening ever. Right. And that's in the face of people like Carter, who, I believe he's talked about this in a couple of places. And I believe I've mentioned it previously as well. But like my understanding is that he's trying to get his critique of this method published at creation.com/SCMI, right?
That would be cool.
And so with that, with that in mind, like him and Tompkins are friends. Oh God, to be a fly on the wall on the email conversations that they no doubt had. Where Carter was like, dude, just own it. Just own that there's an issue with the methodology. I can see it. Like everyone else can see it. And I imagine it must not have gone very well for Carter to move
Probably
forward
not.
and be planning on publishing on
But
it.
there was also like some misogyny, right? Like something that Tompkins said was like, can't
Yes.
be a girl or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
didn't he call
Yep.
you something like a little girl or something in a dismissive tone or something ridiculous
Yeah,
like that?
I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl on the internet throwing
girl on the
shade, doing girl stuff. Women be shopping, you know.
I mean, Erica, when is your channel transitioning to makeup tutorials and like accessorizing videos? You gotta get those like makeup sponsorships.
Like the crazy thing is like it's not even like some woman or some lady. It's like a girl. It's very infantilizing.
Yeah.
It's very weird. I don't, and it also killed me how Carter was like, "Come on, I'm a nice guy. I didn't even call you girl." And it's like, oh no, sir,
Bar
that's
is
the
on
minimum.
the floor. The bar is on the floor.
No,
There's
I'm
Robert
really
Carter.
sorry, but-
I'm so wonderful in not being obviously and very
I
openly
didn't
misogynistic.
I, Rob Carter, am such a great open-minded person that I'm engaging with you on the science, even though you
you're
don't
a
possess
girl.
male reproductive organs.
I can pretend that you're a man. It's fine.
And like usher him into the temple to be praised, like so we can heap praise upon him. I mean, and he said it in that Rob Carter way too, where he's like, "I'm just a kind guy. I'm just a compassionate guy. I'm just a little birthday boy. You can't be mean to me. It's my birthday. It's like,
Just a little guy.
no,
Just a little guy.
Stop.
Hanging out.
Stop
about-
it.
From now on, should we just start referring to Jeffrey Tompkins as that boy who can't do math?
Yes.
Honestly,
Well, he's the "this is fine" meme is what he
he
is.
is, and he's just
Yeah,
like
just-
he'll never respond. Like even if Carter comes out with something, like I suspect that that's going to actually maybe stir up some trouble because AIG is eventually going to be faced with other creationists who see the CMI stuff and then are like, so who do we believe here? I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll see.
Savage Perpetual Motion Lungs Cobra for $2 says the bar is at the bottom of the cola borehole. Yes. By the way, Perpetual Motion Lungs. Perpetual motion lungs, I love it because that's from a creationist who said that birds don't have to use any muscular action to get air to flow through their lungs, which implies that their lungs are in fact perpetual motion machines. Which, by the way,
they definitely do.
They definitely use muscular action to pump air through their lungs.
Definitely do.
It's not the same way
Yeah.
you do, but it's definitely muscular action. It's primarily in the
They
limbs and the
definitely
throat. So yeah, it's.
Do you think that Rob Carter is going to be labeled a young Earth evolutionist here in about 2 years? If he does,
Excommunicated.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're no longer welcome at AIG there.
Hey, look, he's from CMI. He's already no longer welcome at AIG. Okay?
that's a good point.
yeah.
You've
That's-
seen those emails, okay?
Yeah,
we all
we've
know
seen
who the
those.
CMI people are,
Yeah.
according to the AIG
Well, they're
people.
the ones with the necrophiliac witch secretaries,
Exactly.
which I still can't believe is an actual thing that happened. That there's a CMI secretary was accused of being not just a witch, but a necrophiliac witch.
Yep.
It's just like
This is-
what the
you know,
hell?
just to point out a recurring theme, she was the only woman involved, right? So, like, if we're gonna throw shade at someone,
yeah,
it's
might
like,
as well be the
ah,
woman.
Lloyd.
Look, let's just appreciate that it's not the 15th century because that schism would have started a war in the 15th
100%.
century.
Or at the very least, a burning at the stake.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, to be fair, usually it was hanging. The burning at the stake trope was a little overdone. It was usually hanging,
A
but
little overdone.
does that make it better? No, I don't think so.
No.
No, not really.
Okay.
Who won that category?
No, we have to have the first runner-up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Penultimate. The
Yes,
penultimate.
our first runner-up for worst behaved young Earth creationist in 2023 is unfortunately Sal Cordova.
Moment of silence.
Yeah, for his breakup with Rebecca from
Oh, I would have thought he
Red
would.
Light.
Definitely thought that was gonna run
I
away
thought he was
with
going
it.
to win.
he got second or first runner-up for his breakup, and it's not like they were dating; it was a friend breakup thing
No,
with
it was
Rebecca.
The
for,
most-
You're a heathen.
awkward
It was a
video.
you're a heathen breakup.
yeah,
Oh God!
it was.
Yeah, and
It was so painful. I watched it.
was bad.
He put it live on his channel for some reason. I don't understand why. Like, if
It
I
was
felt like I
so-
had to end my friendship with one of you guys for some kind of irreconcilable ideological problem, I wouldn't do it on air.
You don't do it on air.
Live, yeah. In terms of like the universal unit for awkwardness of Scott's Tots, it was at least 10 Scott's Tots.
Oh my goodness.
It was a lot of Scott's Tots.
Yeah,
it was one
it
of those
was-
things too where like you have to have it playing in the other tab because like seeing everybody's
look
facial
away.
expressions is just too much.
I
Like you're
had
just
it-
like, I can't see it. I just can't look at it.
I was on vacation when that happened, so I had it in my ear, and I remember it like it's one of those things where, like, if I think about it, I can see where I was when I was listening to it, and it was walking down from the beach
So one
back
thing-
to my dwelling while
Real
I was
quick,
on
I wanna make sure
vacation,
that-
and I was just like, ugh.
Real quick, I want to make sure the audience has the context for this. So Rebecca from Bread of Life,
Yeah. Okay.
Young Earth creationist, she has a YouTube channel. A lot of it is conversations with people who disagree with her. And for one thing,
Many of us have been on there.
yeah, many of us have been on here. Also, absolutely one of the nicest people that I've ever interacted with on the internet. This is a woman who randomly has sent me an email to say, hey, just checking in. I want to make sure you were doing okay. And you know what? I don't get that from a whole lot of people. That was extremely nice of her. She doesn't have to. We don't have like we're not like close friends or anything. She was just like, we haven't talked in a while. Just wanted to make sure you're doing okay. And the reason that this whole breakup thing happened was basically because Rebecca has been openly like, hey, I don't think Christians should ostracize LGBTQ people. And instead, I think we should be affirming their relationships and their personhood and their identities. And that was a bridge too far for Sal Cordova. And it was honestly heartbreaking because you could tell as you're watching, like you could watch Rebecca's like spirit just kind of fall over the course of the whole thing when she realizes that, yeah, no, that's just how it's going to be. He's just decided that her deciding not to be horrible to an entire segment of the population is too much for Sal.
Yeah,
She's not hateful enough for Sal.
I nominated Sal for this for just being an absolute scumbag over this. Like,
it was
any shred of respect that I had for Sal Cordova was erased when I saw that video.
so
Just
hard
the
to watch.
most scumbag thing I've seen on YouTube in a while, and I've seen a lot of scumbag shit on YouTube. And like,
yeah.
to the extent that I had to like, I emailed Rebecca afterwards to just be like, I'm sorry that this happened to you. Like, this was like absolutely terrible. You were
In
100% right. And like Sal, like, do not mourn the loss of Sal. He's a piece of shit.
Honestly, I
The
kind
thing
of
about it
mourn the
too
loss
is
of Sal,
that
though.
he was like on a decent track. That's
Yeah.
what I don't understand. Like he was on an upswing. He was doing better, right? Like he was. I don't know. That just broke my heart. That whole situation was so.
Yeah.
That like Rebecca did not deserve that at all. Obviously, but.
Yeah, every aspect of that, like the reversal of Sal's like, kind of redemption, the how that must have been for Rebecca, just every aspect of that was just like
It was
Dapper, can I swear? Not F word swear, but can I swear?
Go
Like,
for it.
yeah, every aspect of that whole thing was just shitty. Like
Yeah.
for everybody involved, for Sal, for Rebecca, for all the viewers, it was just like,
It
and,
really
and like
was.
when it was on, I'm like, why am I like? After a few minutes, I pieced out. I watched the whole thing later. Like, like why? Just why? You didn't need to do that.
It would
Sal,
be
you
one
didn't
thing
do that.
if the two channels had like collaborated a lot or whatever, and so like you had that discussion privately, and then later say, "Hey, we're not going to be collaborating anymore. We had a difference in opinion." Like that video would be
Totally
one thing,
fine.
Yep.
right?
Totally.
I get that, but to have the just the Jerry Springer live, like that was very distasteful.
There was
Yeah.
an aspect of it that was like self-flagellation too, because you could tell that Sal was like not. He didn't seem like he was happy to be
No, he
doing that
wasn't.
either, and yet he was still doing it, right? Like, why did he put that on? Why was it a live conversation?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Like,
I just feel like it really is, though, very much like an allegory for like the broader thing happening in evangelical Christianity right now, where like you have a unfortunately relatively small slice that is Rebecca, right? And then you have a much larger slice of like conservative evangelical Christianity that is revealing itself to be for the YouTube Yekosphere. Some of you will recognize the name Emery Moyna / Harry F. Sanders III, right? Like, that's the fork in the road you can take, right? You can be a decent person and respect people, or you can be like, where are the manly men, kill all the gays, right? Like, those are your two options.
Like,
and like,
if Harry F. Sanders III ends up as like the next Pulse nightclub shooter, I would not be shocked.
So it's an interesting,
his whatever bitch shooter rumble or whatever. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like it's a microcosm of what's happening like at a large scale too. Like what Dan, like what you were just saying. Like to pull to like from like a current event, right? Like we all know Carrie Lake, right? Like we're pretty Republican, pretty. Yeah, I don't know how evangelical,
but like normie Republican.
But normie Republican. So recently she talked about how she wants to protect like IVF, like in vitro fertilization, and absolutely got dogpiled on Twitter by the craziest people that I have ever seen. Like, these people crawl out from a troll cave and say the things that they say. And, you know,
which, by the way, if you haven't seen Troll Hunter, this goes for the panel and the audience, watch Troll Hunter. It's excellent. Sorry, go ahead. Is that the
but it's like,
go ahead, Erica, finish, and then I have a rant about this because I hate these people so much.
While you rant, I'm going to grab a drink.
You've seen, Dan, I've been fighting with them this week too because this is a subject very near and dear to my heart as well, and
Me too.
I have zero patience for this.
I have go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, all I was going to say is that it's like, okay, you have like a normie Republican and like someone who's calling Carrie Lake a normie Republican, like she's more extreme than like Mitt Romney, right? But she's still like relatively normie for Republican. Says something pretty freaking uncontroversial. I almost swear, pretty uncontroversial, and then like just the worst people on the face of the planet, and then you see the level of extreme in these comment sections grows every month as we slide down this slippery slope. And the people who said that this was never going to happen, like, here we are.
I've been saying this was going to happen since 2016.
Yes,
all I said for 11 months straight in 2016 was Supreme Court. And I said, this is going to happen. They're going to overturn Roe. And then what's going to happen is IVF is going to be made illegal, and then birth control is going to be made illegal. Watch. I'm telling you, it's what's going to happen. And people were like, butthurt emails. And then it's 2024, and here we effing are. And like, I can say this on air because I don't keep this a secret. I talk about this. I have 2 kids via IVF, right? I have 2 kids via IVF because my wife and I both carry the same recessive genetic disorder. So you have to test the embryos so they don't die, right? That's why we did it that way. Otherwise, there's a 1 in 4 chance that they're going to die immediately. And the position of the Republican Party right now is to outlaw that practice, which effectively says, hey, you, Dr. Dan, you can't have kids. You're not allowed to have kids anymore, right?
No. And you can have kids. We just want a quarter of them to die painfully.
Right, a quarter of them are going to die. Right.
That's what's important.
That's
real quick,
the key.
everybody. A membership chat came in. So Bitcourse, who's been a member for 12 months and is at the Tetrapod level, thank you very much, says 50 minutes and 1 drink with a Godzilla emoji, which means we take a drink. And here's the thing. I've been drinking the whole time.
Yeah, I gotta get more after this rant. But what I was saying was that, Carrie Lake, she's now going on, and you have all these Republican blank hole. I don't know the degree to which I can swear without demonetizing you, Dapper. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it, man.
All right, these Republican assholes, okay? Because they're all going on this week after this Alabama State Supreme Court ruling. For anyone who doesn't know, the Alabama State Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos are people, and therefore that outlaws IVF. Because what happens in IVF is you fertilize X number of embryos, and then you implant them as 6-day blastocysts. So between fertilization and implantation, like half of them die. Like that, just boom, like half of them die, right? And so the Alabama State Supreme Court has essentially outlawed IVF in the state of Alabama. There are Republicans right now, like Carrie Lake, she's not in Congress, but like in Congress, who are like, oh, we need to protect IVF, blah, 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 blah. And also I'm pro-life. And, they're all co-sponsors on a national abortion ban bill that doesn't have an exception for IVF that would have the same effect as the Alabama State Supreme Court ruling. So screw all these people. They're all hypocrites. They're all liars. You know who has a child via IVF? Mike Pence. So
you gotta be kidding me. I did not know that.
So
holy crap. No way.
Pro-life Mike Pence, a fertilized zygote is a child, Mike Pence, is also guilty of manslaughter because he and his wife did IVF. So I don't want to hear any of this bullshit from any of these assholes. Yeah, I'm mad about this.
Amen.
No, I'm
Reasonably so.
I was made by IVF because my mom had fertility issues and my sister's adopted. So they
Erica
did
was
both,
intelligently
right? And
designed, confirmed.
intelligently designed. Yeah, intelligently designed. But she had horrific endometriosis, so she couldn't ovulate. IVF was the only way that you could actually implant an embryo. It was absolutely horrific. And by this law, but by the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this was freaking me out, and I mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of people talking about how because IVF is not like it's like spitting in the face of God and like messing up Imago Dei or something like that. The people from IVF, not real people. They're actually it's not real people.
I can't show what's behind my hand here.
It's spooky. It is spooky.
Yeah.
And you do that and you're it's funny now, because it's like, oh, haha, these people are idiot, losers who live in a basement somewhere. But then it's like, is this going to be funny in, 12 months? Is it going to be funny in 2 years? Or are these people going to escalate?
I want to point something out about history, right? So different groups of people have had different definitions as to when personhood is acquired by an individual human, right? Like there have been groups that have said birth, there have been groups that have said all sorts of other things. The idea that it's conception is an extremely new idea in Christianity, and I don't know why it's taken over Christianity so thoroughly, but it seems to have. Even in groups that normally are resistant to brand new ideas, up until the modern era, and well into the modern era, the general consensus in Christianity was that personhood was acquired by an embryo at what was called the quickening, which is basically when you can start feeling the fetus kick and move around in the womb. So basically, if you can't put your hand on the belly and feel it kick, traditionally, Christianity did not consider that to be a person, and ending that pregnancy was not considered to be murder. Now, that is more restrictive than I would think most people would be okay with in terms of abortion rights, but it's way less restrictive than anything that's currently going on in the pro-life side.
This can be settled with one question, and I've whipped this one out a couple of times recently on Twitter to no answer, of course. It's a birding fertility clinic, and you can either save 10, 100, 1,000 little zygotes in tubes, fertilized eggs, like fertilized embryos, or one human toddler. Not a single one of these people is going to save the tray. They're all going to go for the kid. Because there's a difference that we recognize.
None of these cowards will answer that question.
Of course they won't.
None of them.
Or they'll lie.
Of course they won't.
Or they'll lie, yeah.
They might lie.
I mean, yeah.
But you know what? This is getting a little depressing. Let's move on to something else that's depressing.
Actually, let's get the winner, and then I'll be right back. Because that was the first runner-up, right? That was Sal was the first runner-up, and we were all shocked. Yeah, okay.
Well, then I know
who won this category.
The winner.
I'm hoping. Please don't be Carter. Please don't be Carter. Full Carter.
The winner.
No, sorry. Carter Sweep. Full Jensen. Let's do it.
There you go.
Hashtag Carter Sweep.
The winner for the worst behaved young Earth creationist in 2023 is Ken Ham for hosting a cult convention. So, Dan, feel free to...
Wait. Did you say 2023?
Yeah, for 2023.
Oh, yeah, right. It's 2023.
Man, chimp.
I'm like, wait, what year is it now? I'm checking my computer.
Yeah, 2024. I got confused. I thought we were...
So, remind the audience who he hosted and why it's
yes. Cool. All right, while you're doing this, I'll be back.
Yeah. So Ken Ham hosted the Fight, Laugh, Feast convention, which is the Moscow, Idaho cult. Right. So Moscow, Idaho has this, I think I don't know their denomination exactly, but it's like a denomination of extreme evangelical Christians that believe a whole lot of stuff like there's no such thing as marital rape. And they desire for a local theocracy that they can then implement at a national scale, and like boldly and proudly are like, yes, theocracy good. Let's implement it. And so Ken Ham hosted this group because they're also young Earth creationists. That's like a very minute part about what they, hold to. It's not like their main screed. But he hosted them at the Ark Encounter and shared a stage with them and spoke with them. Ken Ham, who has Georgia Purdom on staff and Gabriella Haynes and multiple other women who speak at Answers in Genesis and hold positions of power. Yeah, who would not be allowed to have those positions at the Moscow, Idaho church because women are not allowed to teach men. In fact, specifically on their website, they have a bunch of they have like a Netflix style subscription. And when women are speaking, it's only women in the audience because that's the only one. Like you can't have men learning from women, like there's some verse that they use to justify it, I suppose.
Oh, there's
So
a
Ken
fair few
Ham,
verses.
like-
The Bible is pretty misogynistic at face value.
Yeah, true. But like Ken Ham is trying to he's trying to consolidate the flock. And so it's worth allowing these assholes to come share a stage at the Ark Encounter if it means more young Earth creationists. Everything else is meaningless to him.
And as the question came up, well, what does people like Georgia Purnham, like, what does she think? And honestly, like I said before, I would guess that it's, the leopards won't eat my face,
Gotta be.
Yeah. I would honestly be interested to know, though. Like, I would love to talk to Georgia Purdom or Gabriella Haynes, or I never remember that Canadian woman's name. Mostly because
Peter told us last time, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
We all know who it is, though.
Yeah, we know who it is.
She's the Canadian one. She's very young. She's the Canadian one.
She's the funny one. She's the funniest one.
She actually does seem to have a lot more charisma than a lot of the ones.
Is she the one that wrote the book about the surviving college? Is that her?
That might be her.
Yeah, that sounds like
that
her.
might be her.
Yeah. I think she also appears sometimes on like AIG Canada's YouTube channel. Like as the talking head.
So to underscore the depravity of this situation, right? Like the main pastor, I forget his name. It's been a couple of weeks since I've like looked into this because I scripted a video on it and it was all like fresh on my mind. But the main guy had like the main pastor who again was like up there, Doug Wilson. That's it, Doug Wilson, who shared a stage with Ken Ham, opted to not report somebody who had engaged in sexually explicit activity with a minor. Did not report that to the police because he wanted to handle it internally at the church, and then proceeded to like advise the guy on how to like move forward. And this advice did not include staying away from minors and things like that. This is in addition to the whole like marital rape isn't a thing and things of that nature. So it's like they're covering for some pretty nefarious characters there at that church, I believe. And I find it alarming the lengths to which Ken Ham will go to maintain attention and to garner support.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm getting rum in me.
Do we think that this is like Ken Ham sponsoring this group is an attempt to like keep young Earth creationists aboard, or that it was like a money grab? Because surely they paid him a ton of money.
I think it's a bit of both
for this venue.
Yes,
right?
and
real quick, I want to read a super chat. Melly for $5 says tithing to counteract the creative use of the English language to express extremely valid emotions. Thank you very much, Melly.
So, Zach, I think the money you would think might have been a part of it, right? But Ken didn't just host them. He shared a stage with them and was like the headlining act for them.
Well, he gave a talk for them.
He gave a talk for them, with them, and for them, both. And he was like, not only that, but there's a guy, I don't know if he's in the audience tonight or not, and I don't know if it's okay to say his name, but there's a guy who emails me a lot. Like, he's like a watchdog on like what AIG is doing that's nefarious at any given time. And he sent me the publicly available flight logs for what the Fight Laugh Feast convention. And they flew the private AIG jet out there, which they have, to pick.
Wait.
Oh,
AIG has a jet.
AIG has a private
AIG has a jet.
What does God need with the starship? That's my question.
AIG has a jet, and they sent the jet out there to pick these people up and bring them back. I don't think it's a money thing.
That's like, hi, we just did journalism. That's breaking news. That's an actual thing.
So I was planning on dropping it in the video that I was doing for this, but at the same time, like, I think it still deserves attention, right? Like,
I got the scoop. Thanks, Eric.
Hey, there you go. You got the first scoop.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, no,
surprise right here. Pulitzer Prize.
The only reason I'm not giving the name of the person is because I don't know if they want it public or not. I did not discover this.
You got to protect your sources.
No, I think I think that given Ken Ham's additional involvement beyond merely just being like, okay, you can rent the venue and then I'm going to stay in the other room, but like actively being involved, flying them out there, taking the stage with them is like obviously more than a tacit endorsement. It's like an actual endorsement.
The whole chest is there right there.
I mean, if I may, with this is what I'm thinking from my view is they're courting your new young conservatives that are very misogynistic, very Germany was the good guy kind of people.
So I agree, TD. I think there's a political basis to all of this to some degree, because the Moscow, Idaho church is extremely involved in local politics. And I think they're creating a nice little archetype framework that Ken Ham would like to emulate locally as well.
This is the Christian Nationalist Pilot Project, is what the Moscow, Idaho situation is. It is.
They call themselves this. They say this themselves. Like, this is not us.
Right,
this is not us raising a red flag. They are saying this. They are coded in red.
You've got the people on the left like, these guys are Christian nationalists. They want to do this. And the people that said, like, they wouldn't do that. They're like, yeah, we are.
They're
that's what we're doing.
It's like a very specific red flag. It's red, white, and black, and has this interesting.
You guys know the flag. You guys know the one.
Wait, do you mean the Klingon flag?
No, that's the good red, white, and black.
Oh, okay, got it. Because I've got one of those in my room, so I was like, uh-oh. Wait, do I have the wrong flag?
No.
Actually,
I do remember a news story about someone calling the cops over a Klingon flag because they were like, my neighbors are Nazis. And then the cops go over and he's like, it's a Klingon flag. And they're like from Star Trek? He's like, yeah, we're like from Star Trek. And there's like, oh, okay, you're good. Don't worry about it.
Don't give the Nazis ideas. They're going to start taking the Klingon flag and they'll ruin a good thing.
Look, here's the thing.
I know, right?
Here's the thing. I refuse to let them dictate my behavior by pretending that normal things are now going to be their thing.
Why should I change? They're the ones who suck.
But here's the thing. No, you're right. You're not wrong. But here's the thing. At some point, you have to invoke the rule of, I'll be polite and call it dog poop, right? If you're eating dog poop, ironically, you're still eating dog poop.
Oh, yeah.
So,
what I mean is, like... sorry, go ahead.
I would fight that fight, too. I
get, but like an instructive example of this is like the OK symbol, right? Like the OK hand gesture, which for a while was like, that's a white nationalist thing. Mm-hmm. And like, it was ironic. It was like at no point, like in the 90s, at like the 90s peak of like, the white nationalist militia stuff going on, were they like, like they didn't, like that wasn't a thing. It was like idiots on 4chan coming up with this. And then, but like it became a thing where like people would pose at the White House press room podium making that sign ironically. But at that point, like, it is actually becoming a white, like it did for a little while, like explicitly become a white nationalist symbol.
My thing is, what I mean by that is, if I actually need to respond to someone with OK and I'm busy and like maybe on the phone or something, and I go with the OK hand sign, I'm not going to stop doing that just because. I mean, I might go with it. To be honest, thumbs up is actually more natural for me most of the time. But I'm not going to modify my actual use of that in the appropriate context on the basis that some idiots on 4chan have decided that actually it's a white power hand sign. Great, good for you guys. I'm not posing in photos for no reason with it. What I'm doing with it is what everyone else has been doing with it for, like, I don't know, a century or so, which is just like putting it up is like, yeah, okay, that's great. And then I put it down and there you go. But hey.
So.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say a quick thing, right? Like, here's like the contrast again between like arguing with creationists and arguing with race realists, because the race realists that I've been dealing with, they're like what Jordan said, right? Like, they're just like, no, yeah, we're totally race realists. Like, we do not like people of color. We don't like them at all. Yeah. We're hoping that we can get them to all go somewhere else so we can do our own little thing here. Like, they're just upfront about it. And it's to some degree refreshing to be able to be like, cool, like, you can go after yourself, right? Like, thank you for at least being honest.
That's exactly what I said when one DM'd me. What was it? I think I still have the DMs.
Oh, Eric Mondero, a classic.
Yeah,
God, Eric, you just reminded me of something awful.
Whatever. So at one point, you said
TD,
something.
Hang on 1 second, Dapper. TD, your mic is a little bit lower compared to everybody else, so just FYI.
Yeah. All right. I can probably fix that by moving it closer.
So, at some point, I had liked some tweet where this guy had agreed with something that Erica had said. And I didn't even look at his screen name, right? I just was like, okay, fine, whatever it says. So then I get this DM request on Shitter, and it's like, thanks for the like. I have a site for race realism, subspeciesist. Would love to be in your show to discuss race realism. And I said, my apologies.
How would that go?
You can go F yourself. And then I blocked him and undid my like.
I mean, okay, counterpoint. You host him on, and then and it starts off just you and Jackson, like you do when you have your
Yes.
Yek friends on and they never have a good time, right? You and Jackson, and you have them on. And then at, 5, 10, 15 minutes in, like, by the way, some of my friends are joining us. And then here we are. And now we get to just, however long it takes us to get that guy to just leave the chat.
But here's
because
the thing.
I will sit there all night.
I really, really think you can't. You cannot host Race Realist.
Yeah.
I know. You're right. You're obviously right.
I'm going to stress this because, like, I have a video debunking biological race. It has hundreds of comments on it, and many, like probably another 100 comments that are hidden that are actually on there.
Yep.
And I can tell you, I have engaged with like half of them, and they are the most gut-wrenching things that you can read.
It's vile. It's vile.
It's awful.
Incredibly vile.
Straight up.
There are certain things I don't need to spend my time airing on my channel. If I need to respond to race realists, I will respond to their written texts that I can read. I can read them. I can respond to them.
Yes.
I do not need to have them on my channel.
Exactly. That's the thing with like dealing with race realists, you're dealing with Nazis, you're dealing with anything like that. People want to say, oh, well, we have to refute their ideas. Yeah, you don't have to do it while holding hands with a Nazi.
Right.
Like you can.
They don't have to be on screen. I totally agree. Yeah.
There's been this recent study, and I've shared it with y'all, but there was this recent study by the All of Us research group.
I know the one, yeah.
That has caused a bunch of Twitter storm among like the academics that I follow, kind of critiquing it. But it's already started to be picked up by race realists, and I suspect I'm going to have to make a video on it, which is going to have another several hundred comments of me fighting with race realists. And so they're just like, of all the pseudoscience that I've dealt with, race realists are hands down the absolute.
It's not even close.
No surprise.
It's not even close. Like, so you guys know, I'm currently doing a video on Robert Sepper because Robert Sepper is running his mouth again. And I have him on. I put him on screen, but I go through his arguments. I think it's okay to have them on screen as long as they're not physically there, because I think it's important for people to hear what they're actually
is not the same thing as a platform.
Right. So here's the thing about Robert Sepper, though. He has the most rabid, again, disgusting, like just acrid fan base that you can imagine. And what's really interesting is that a couple weeks ago, the whole thing I noticed that he even had released another Out of Africa debunked video, which of course does nothing of the sort. Deals with zero genetic arguments, doesn't touch any paper that has ever been released on like phylogeny or linkage disequilibrium or none of them. But I started noticing a whole lot of hate comments showing up in my videos, specifically on Robert Sepper, all of them wondering about my personal heritage and using that I simply must be a part of like the Jewish community. Of course, obviously. Right? Because I'm peddling.
Of course, it's always.
This is an incredible thing about this is on my debunk of biological race, they ask if I'm Jewish.
I
know. Look at me.
Amazing.
Are you kidding me?
I think there was some of that because Wolf Antiquity has covered him. And very recently, David Miano announced that Sepher had backed out of debating him.
Shocking.
Because like all race realists, he's a wuss.
He's a coward. He's a complete coward. He's a simpering little baby.
One of my rules of thumb is if you are of the position that members of my family are less than human or should be exterminated or anything like that, I don't want you to be on my channel. And guess what?
I'm kicking you in the dick.
I have black and Jewish family members. Like, I think, before we started, I was talking about my Jewish uncle. And, like, when I was, like, reading a Hebrew grammar in high school, because, of course, I was reading a Hebrew grammar in high school. It's me. It's Dapper. Have you met me?
Yes.
And, if you want to tell me, that guy and his kids, kid at this point, they don't deserve to be around. Like, no, I don't have time for you. And as Pibblepunk says, who's been a member for 8 months and made a membership milestone chat, no platform for fascists. Yeah, look, and like I said, like we were talking about with Erica, right? There's a difference between having them on screen and having them platformed on your channel.
And can we, while we're on this topic, I just want to take a moment to just throw my kind of like my eternal hobby horse out there, which is, why do you do this? Why do you bother with these rando like science denier people? Who cares how old the Earth is? This is why.
Yeah,
because all forms of pseudoscience go together, and like the communism domino effect from the Cold War was fake, but the pseudoscience domino effect is real. If you believe one conspiracy theory pseudoscience thing, it makes you more likely to believe all of them, because what you're doing is you're training your brain. You're training your brain to not be able to do critical thinking. So if you start with, I'm just a Bible-believing Christian, I think the world is 6,000 years old, you end up, why did the pastor at my church die of COVID? That's a thing that happened a bunch because they were anti-vaxxers. And then you end up at like race realism. I'm just going to move to Idaho because like it's all white people there, right? Like this is a well-documented progression. Yeah. And it's because when you teach yourself to think in a certain way, it makes you more susceptible to believing other obviously wrong and progressively more dangerous ideas. So like, why are we sitting here spending our Saturday night making fun of young Earth creationists? Because if one person sees this and catches some of the stuff we're saying and doesn't tumble down that slippery slope, then like congratulations.
So you can see this in real time. It's the Rob Carter misery pipeline, right? Like where Rob Carter's a young Earth creationist, and then he's like, "What? Shit! All these people, they don't want to get their vaccines. This is crazy. Why don't they trust the science? They don't trust the science. What is going on here? Why don't you trust
the scientists? But
Erica,
brother, why don't they trust the biologists who made the vaccine, Erica? Why don't the young Earth creationists trust the biologists?
Robert,
why are these
you did this. Robert, you did this to them. This is your fault. Like, you are the one who's doing this to them. This is you do not get to spend decades telling people that there is a global conspiracy in science and then turn around and act surprised when people don't trust
when they believe you.
Yeah, they have the same techniques. Like the race realists and creationists, they do the exact same thing. They quote models, they misunderstand basic genetics, they misunderstand basic morphology. They will just they're doing the exact same thing, and they have the exact same lack of science understanding.
Yep.
And so it's like if we can take down pseudoscience anywhere we find it, then like maybe we can have this ripple effect of saving people from falling into these.
Here's the thing. On its own, most pseudoscientific ideas on their own are not going to be dangerous. But having the mindset that makes you amenable to accepting pseudoscientific ideas means that you will believe things that, if you act on them, will cause people to suffer and or die. And we know that for a fact. It's not like, oh, I think this is No, we have a very recent example of people causing the death of their friends and families and strangers as a result of a pseudoscience accepting mindset. And I am sick of unnecessary suffering and death. I'm not a big fan of it.
Crazy.
And it's on us to do something about it. And it's on us like as scientists, it's on us as like thinkers in science to actually like stand up and say something about it. Because if we don't, especially like the geneticists in us, like I'm thinking about the Buffalo shooting, right? Where they found the manifesto where this guy was citing all of these genetic studies of like population geneticists I know personally, and like their work appeared in his manifesto. It is on us to like actually counter that sort of rhetoric on the internet. And if we just let it proliferate and just let people like take what they think we're saying without us actually engaging, it can literally cause death. Like it is on us.
Not
to
an
make
exaggeration. People die.
Right. And not an exaggeration.
And not just address it, which you absolutely should, but to put work in at the front end to like, okay, you've written this paper. How are the world's shittiest people going to use this paper?
Exactly.
Right.
Which it sucks that you have to think about it.
All of us paper is
every
like,
scientist. Whenever you put something out into the world, you have to think about how will the worst, most dishonest, disingenuous people twist whatever I am putting out into the world. That, like, you can't pretend for decades, scientists talking about race, talking about climate, talking about human evolution, talking about all this stuff have pretended that they're above the fray. And the fact of the matter is we're not. And you have to put that consideration into everything you put out into the world.
Which
So
sucks.
there's a really there's a really simple example that I saw, like that I've been seeing over the past like decade or so in biological anthropology and in hominids in particular, that's been really problematic, right? It's like, okay, every hominin that we know of that is like a prior to out of Africa is found in Africa. All of them, right? They're all in Africa. If it's a hominin, that's where it is. Coincidentally, that's where genetics lands the origin of Homo sapiens, as well as the origin of
it's
of
not
the ancestors of
Mesopotamia?
hominins that lead it. Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's not in Europe. It's not in Jacksonville, Missouri, or wherever the Mormons say it is. It's
Sorry,
in
Mormons.
Africa. Yeah, sorry, Mormons. That's where it is. But a paper came out a couple years ago. I think it was a couple years ago by a team that I know who are really cool. Like they're not problematic, right? They're doing this study on this new hominoid, probable hominid, but a hominoid, so an ape in Germany, right? It's called Danuvius. And they were like, oh, this thing's really interesting because it has this interesting locomotor pattern that lets it like walk upright when it's in the trees. They call it like extended knee clambering. And they're like, so maybe what this means is that ape origins, the first hominid that would maybe be the common ancestor of all African apes, started in Germany. How do you think that went over? The popular press says human evolution changed completely. Human origins in Europe.
Of course.
Right? So this is the kind of thing that you have to be extremely careful about. You can't just let somebody who isn't in your field take over your science communication. If it's your paper, take responsibility as a scientist, step up and make sure that it's understandable to the public as it is meant to be understood, as it is, not how, Joe Schmo decides to interpret it.
All right, so I want to tell a little bit of a more lighthearted anecdote, and then we can move on to the next category. And I was reminded of it because of the Jacksonville, Missouri thing. Because in case you guys don't know, there's a whole like cottage industry of fake antiquities that try to support the historicity of the Book of Mormon. Like it's a thing. Because, Mormons would very much like for the account of the origins of Native Americans in the Book of Mormon, which is basically they're Jews, to be correct. When in fact it is absolutely incredibly wrong. There's absolutely no support for it. There's mountains of counter evidence. And so me being, the nerd that I am, was watching something about like, fake archaeological discoveries, because I find that interesting, like weird hoaxes that people come up with. And I'm doing this at my last job, and I'm in this place called Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is a place that has a data center. And I'm not allowed to tell you what company runs the data center. However, I will tell you that if you just look at the Google Street View, you'll find out immediately, because they don't hide it, unlike most data centers, which are like, no, we don't tell you who we are. They're just got a sign, right? Like, it's very obvious who this is. And they're definitely not run by a robot who's just pretending to be a human. That's definitely not a company that is running this data center. Anyway, but I'm reading about these tablets that have like nonsense Paleo Hebrew scribbled into them as like lead tablets that just had these like random characters from like the stage right after the Phoenicians into Paleo Hebrew. And it doesn't make any sense. They aren't really words. And so this is this thing that was presented as like, oh, this is evidence of ancient Hebrews coming to the Americas before the Babylonian exile and support for the Book of Mormon. And I'm in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And then apparently the video that I'm watching is like, and they were found in a trash dump in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm right there. And it was just so surreal to just be, because it's Las Cruces is like, it's one main strip and there's a few houses on a few other streets and that's it. It's dead quiet. The only thing that's there right now is like that main strip, a few housing, and then that one data center. And now with the data center, it's probably going to become a bigger place because it's a big company. You've heard of it. But yeah. Also, data centers are a weird place because they never let you know. Or they let you know, but you're always under an NDA to not say who it is, even when they're public about it, which is weird. But
it's weird.
Yeah, it is. Most of them aren't public, to be fair. And it was just a surreal experience to be like right where the pseudo-archaeology happened. It was like, this is probably less than 5 miles from my current location in this hotel room.
God. Before we move on, actually, like one thing, like we were talking about, like how the pseudoscience mindset gets you to accept stuff like COVID denial or race realism, that nonsense. Mm-hmm. It also extends into pseudo-historical and pseudo-social.
And just general conspiracy theories.
Ancient Aryans. Yep. Or how about denying the negative health effects of cars? Something that's very demonstratable.
And it also goes into political conspiracy theory. The whole conspiracy theory mindset, pseudoscience, pseudoarchaeology, conspiracy theories, that it all goes together because it's all fundamentally not thinking critically.
It's all one brain rot Ouroboros.
And can we say there is one other unifying factor between all of these conspiracy theories? It's a combination of not thinking critically, and also inevitably you go far enough down the rabbit hole, and we all know who we find at the bottom of the rabbit hole. Who do we find at the bottom of the rabbit hole?
Guten Tag!
Republicans?
Well,
Yes, actually.
I mean,
Turns
you're not
out,
wrong.
yeah, you're not wrong.
In real life, yes. I meant in the conspiracy theory, though. Whether it's eating children's blood for immortality, or the
or just for
climate hoax,
Passover.
whatever.
Who's the culprit? Yeah.
Who's the culprit? Yeah, who is always, and it's so weird how it's always the same people.
Yeah,
It's always the same people. And it's the people that spread those conspiracies are always, Guten Tag, my name is Heinz. I'm going to Stalingrad.
It's
So as a final note, this is funny. I'm going to be talking about it in my next video.
Erica, just a second, just to be clear for everybody who isn't as far, enmeshed in this stuff as some of us are, it always ends up at anti-Semitism. Literally always. It literally always ends up as anti-Semitism, which historically literally always leads to genocide. That's the whole point. Like that's what happens. That's why if you're like, why are these dangerous? That's the end point. That's why.
Even when it's not anti-Semitism, it still ends up being anti-Semitism.
Yep.
Like
it always finds a way. It's like life finds a way.
Yep.
Exactly.
Basically, if you find a conspiracy theorist who's not currently anti-Semitic, it's just because they haven't dived deep enough into the conspiracies they already believe. Because the conspiracies they already believe end in anti-Semitism.
So, like I said, Robert Sepper, huge race realist. He's also, I know this is shocking, he's also hugely anti-Semitic, which is going to blow everybody's mind. But he did an ancestry test a while back, and this was actually kind of early in his channel's history. I
love when they do that.
He's a little bit Jewish. He's got a little bit of Jewish heritage.
No.
And you would not believe how quickly the fans turned on him. It was that scene of Scar when he falls and the hyenas decide to eat him. I mean, they just annihilated him for it. And I sat there and I was like, wow. Anyway.
Never thought the leopards would eat my face.
Yeah, cultivate your garden of vultures. That's fine.
Pro tip,
vultures are nice.
if you're a race realist, don't get your DNA tested because there's a very high chance you won't like the results. Very high.
You won't like the results at all because let me tell you, that stuff, everybody's polyphyletic. It's
also don't get your DNA tested, period. Don't send money to these companies. It's all bullshit anyway.
They're going to sell your DNA. They're going to sell it.
I mean, and like honestly, like you're contributing to a massive database that's going to be sold to the police that are then just going to use like this massive database to like reconstruct and impute your genome and then use your genome to like quote unquote find criminals. Don't get me started.
Minority Report.
We should get not tonight. Tonight is not the venue because we still have a whole award to get through.
This is an award show.
Next award.
Yeah. This is an award show.
Moving on.
Tonight is not the venue, but at some point, some combination of us here should get Zach started on this and just like let him go.
I have a whole rant on genetic privacy. Like I can go on for days about this. So yes.
Don't make the mistake I did.
All right. Steve Areno, who's been a member for 16 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says, Dapper loves pelagic tunicates, all in emojis. Also, that's not an emoji. Mothra. We'll take a drink for the Mothra, but I absolutely do not love pelagic tunicates. They're gross and disgusting.
Post-pelagic tunicates.
Like I've said before, they look like sex toys, and it's weird.
You need to get a Phronema emoji now. It's the amphipod that parasitizes pelagic tunicates.
That's so obscure.
You just their insides, and then it like lives in them like it's a little house. So,
and
that's the rock. That's the rock paper scissors.
Supposedly, they inspired the movie Alien. So
okay,
that is
like the aliens.
Also, I noticed that Erica was surprised when I was like, "They look like sex toys." You just clearly have not seen enough pictures of pelagic tunicates because they absolutely look like something
or enough sex toys.
That sounds a whole lot like the word flashlight.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
There's this thing that sounds a lot like the word for flashlight, and it's what these look like in It's just a fact. Also,
Wow.
there's been a couple more super chats. Mr. Anderson, which welcome, Mr. Anderson. I hope that you still have a mouth because without one you couldn't speak. With their first super chat on a live stream, says, "Hi everyone, great job on everything, and keep busting these guys next year. That is the plan, and that was for 5 beaver bucks. Thank you very much."
That is the plan.
Let us all express. Dan and I have previously expressed our love for Mr. Anderson, but I want to express it again. Love you, Mr. Anderson. I love it, especially every time you go on Standing for Truth. It's worth it for me to pop in. I love seeing how you interact with them. It makes me laugh every time.
Hilarious, and I also love especially how those of us that have interacted with Sam, Defining Truth, nobody handles that asshole better than Mr. Anderson.
Nice.
And, so I am privy to the information that Mr. Anderson is actually starting a YouTube channel so he can do his own thing.
I'd say good night.
Mr. Anderson, in the chat on here, just put in when you're doing your stuff, because I know you have a thing coming up, so people should check that out.
Nice.
Mr. Anderson's appearances on SFT have been worth watching.
Mr. Anderson, you should rip all of those and re-upload them to your channel.
You should 100% do that.
And premiere them, and I'd love to boost that. Anytime I get to see Sam interrupt and Mr. Anderson go, "Yeah, thanks, Sam. Anyways, we'll let you know if we need you."
It's great. It's perfect.
One more super chat. DM Fragmentory Changes Wing for $2 says, "Turtles are the best tetrapods." And while I can't necessarily confirm, I'm not going to deny it either. And then also just now for £5. Hawkskull says, "So we need a bag of pelagic tunicates to pour our AIGs into." I'm going to take a drink for that. Yes, apparently.
That qualifies. That definitely qualifies.
Wow. Okay, so our final category is the Young Earth Creationist who gave the worst argument in 2023, and that had 442 votes. Now, our second runner-up with 14% of the vote is Dr. John Stanford, for saying that Darwin did no experiments, despite the fact that you could fill an entire semester with just doing Darwin's experiments.
Just read the effing book. You just read the effing book.
This was a really great. So I went to the Evolution Conference in Albuquerque this past summer, and a guy named James Costa gave a presentation. It wasn't the keynote, but it was like one of the big conference presentations. And he was basically promoting a new curriculum that for like high school students or middle school students that he had put together that was literally a semester of doing Darwin's experiments and all the different experiments that he had done over the dozen books that he'd written. And you could fill a whole semester with it. Right. And it was teaching really cool things. Like one of the things that he did was like he created these little bird legs, and then he would like stomp them around in this like little aquarium to see if he could like capture like seeds and stuff to like see if you could then transport them to a new pond. Like this was like dispersal between isolated freshwater ponds. Like he was the one that showed that you could do this and that birds could actually be a dispersive mechanism for freshwater organisms. Like that was Darwin that did that. And a bunch of other like really cool, simple little experiments that like students can do. And so like to say that Darwin, and he called him an armchair philosopher, that he just sit around in his armchair and just pontificated on natural history is just absolutely preposterous.
Yeah.
Darwin famously never went anywhere.
Famously never went anywhere.
Exactly.
My field. Darwin took notes on geology in South America and did fossil collection and description. A lot of it. There would be a lot less information about South American.
He's responsible for describing some of the first noto-ungulates that have been described, which is a group of ungulates that were unique to South America and are now currently extinct. Well, I say currently, like it's going to change.
You can't cite any work on barnacles without citing Darwin. Like I often forget about this, but the first gigantic book on the systematics of barnacles comes from freaking Darwin. Like families, all the major groups of barnacles came from Darwin.
All right, before Dan goes,
go ahead.
We have a few things to read off. Pibblepunk, half dog, half canine says, "So one's preference of tunicates is a question of whether you prefer male personal toys or disembodied internal organs." Got it. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but you can kind of boil it down to that. Also, here's a cool thing about tunicates. They have an exoskeleton made of cellulose, and they're animals. It's really weird. Also, they have
That's
that.
weird AF.
Yeah.
I love that fact.
Yeah.
That's
Also,
fantastic.
Their hearts go both ways. They spend a few minutes pumping their blood one way, then they reverse the entire directionality of their entire circulatory system for a few minutes, and then they keep doing it. It's
Tunics are
wild.
just bags. They're just like little sacks, and they have this really fascinating gill basket
So
that just
weird.
like sits within them that they just pump water through. They're fascinating little
They
critters.
really are. All right. Also, Dr. Tapioca Weasel has gifted 5 memberships. So that went to Drag Comics, Jason Hyatt, Pseudo Didact, Mr. Andrat, and Rex Felix. Now it says LXIX, which I'm going to go ahead and say is actually 69. Because obviously.
I think that's what that. I think
Obviously,
that's
the
what
funny
that is.
number.
So
Yeah.
we'll take 5 drinks. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Couldn't do one.
loser, and 5.
This guy did a big one.
Okay. Savage Perpetual Motion Lung Scoper for $5 says, Young Earth creationists don't effectively read their own book. True. Why expect them to read Darwin? Yeah, actually, I responded to that talk that John Sanford
point.
gave in a video series. I don't think it's out yet. No, it is out. It is out. Yeah, that was a while ago, actually. That's the reason that we have the Sal's Bitchmade timer. I forgot.
Again, being so far ahead, he can't even remember which of the things he's recorded
I can't
are
remember
public.
how far ahead he
It's
is.
I'm currently just at the cusp of 6 months ahead.
Making everybody else in this video look terrible.
No, I'm the,
So bad.
Look, I'm the
So
only
bad.
one who's
3.5
doing this
years.
full time. I don't have a different job
He's
that I go
right.
to. So don't feel bad, because unless you want to all
Fair.
quit your
That
jobs,
makes you feel a little better.
which
That makes you feel a little bit better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
The reason that happened is I quit a job, and then immediately COVID hit, and I realized, oh, I'm not going anywhere for a long time. I might as well make a go of this. So
I
yeah.
guess it would make me feel better if I wasn't also falling behind on all my real life,
Yeah.
Okay, that I can't
Yeah.
help you with.
I'm just like trying to juggle everything, and I'm actually just dropping it all. And so, like, I just get consistently
I was-
Consistent.
One
I
last
was in a
super chat.
TA meeting Friday, and one of my coworkers was like, "Hey, how's the project proposal going?" And I was like, "Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Like, why would you ask me that?
Ask me in April. Ask me in April how that's going.
Yeah,
Fine.
like you need to give me. I need a little time. Come on."
We have, now we
you know
have
what?
2
Come back to
super
me
chats.
next year.
We're falling behind.
We're falling behind.
For $5 says, "Hey Dapper, when are you gonna pay me for that step pyramid I built for you? The magical frogs and mobility scoots are starting to ask why I built it." Oh, okay. In case you guys don't know, that's a Warhammer Fantasy reference.
I love it.
So, DM Fragmentary Changes Wing for $2 says, someone did a video on lying about Darwin. Yeah, that was basically what my entire thing about John Sanford was just, why are you lying about Darwin so much?
Oh, I remember that one. That was
Yeah.
a good series. That is public because I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
excellent
fact,
series.
actually,
Highly recommended.
Sal, without watching the series, bothered to respond, and his excuse
I
as
remember
to
that.
why he was saying things that weren't true about Darwin was like, well, that was Roop who told him that. I'm like, okay,
There's
so you're saying that Sanford just believes anything Roop says? Okay, that's
Yeah.
not exactly a
On my
great
list.
statement.
Who has no advanced degree in this topic, while
He's
Stanford,
getting a PhD. He's
a
trying.
retired Cornell professor,
Is he trying?
Man.
I don't know, but he's on my list of people I've emailed to talk, and he's politely told me
Okay.
no.
All right, so
So
here's
hold on.
our. Oh,
Yeah. I want to know if Robert Carter succeeded.
Yeah, no. Come on, let's do it.
well, okay. First, we have to get to our first runner-up. Our first runner-up for worst Young Earth creation, or sorry, Young Earth creations who gave the worst argument in 2023. Our first runner-up is Dr. Robert Carter.
No way.
Full Jensen. Full
Old
Jensen.
Jason, baby.
That is
He
for
hasn't won?
It's
He hasn't won anything?
no, not a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I
was
personally nominated him for every category.
It was the hashtag. It was a
Hashtag
hashtag
Carter
Carter
sweep.
sweep directly
Hashtag
into the
the
trash
full
can.
Chat, post my bent, please.
That's in the chat for Robert Carter.
absolutely.
Robert Carter, I fought for you. I want you to know I fought for you.
Oh man.
Dr. Tapioca Weasel, who's been a member for 24 months and is at the Diabsid level, says, I've been waiting for this particular membership icon for so long because at 24 months, you just get my face as pixel art. Also, people
Get
pay
bent.
for this? Yeah, they do pay for this. Hey, panel, any thoughts on Peter et al.'s New York new work at the New Creation Clips YouTube channel, which I actually have not seen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get myself a refreshed drink, while anyone who wants to talk about either Robert Carter or Peter's work on that new channel,
All right.
feel free, and I will be right back.
Can I suggest we start with Jordan here, because Jordan nominated Rob Carter for every category. So Jordan, now that we know that Rob Carter has achieved the full Jensen, your thoughts?
I got to be honest, I couldn't be happier. This is exactly 100% the outcome I was going for. If I could have built an outcome in a lab, this would have been it. So,
Can I give the dissenting opinion? I'm disappointed for Rob, because, like, honestly, Rob's videos, I almost look forward to, like, the first few minutes of them to find out where Rob's going to be, what Rob's going to be doing. I'm always, like, a little excited.
What his historical connection to the location
exactly.
is.
Like, I actually think Rob puts out some fun videos.
Rob is fun.
Rob is a fun guy, right? And, like, I don't know if Rob and Jensen are, like, on the same, like, Jensen's like objectively not a fun guy.
He's
Like,
a stiff. He's boring.
Nobody
Jensen
wants
is
to hang out with
objectively
Jensen.
not
I would
fun. Whereas
totally
Rob
hang
is,
out
like,
with Carter.
I feel like I could sit around with Rob and, like, have a beer and like have a fun conversation.
Robert Carter definitely gossips too. Like, he is a gossiper.
Yeah. I can see him. Yeah.
If
you're into Rob and, like,
I want to hear about Jensen. I want to hear about Tompkins.
He ditches.
Oh yeah,
spilling that tea all day.
Yeah,
and you know, he's like, I shouldn't say. Like, you know, he's that type too.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't deserve the full Jensen. Like, I actually, like, I'm actually a little sad for Rob, to be honest.
I fought for Rob.
That's my take.
I fought for him.
I think that this is the pinnacle of achievement for a young Earth creationist, to get nominated for a bunch of fake science awards and fail to win any of them. Like, here we are. This is like, maybe there should be like an EGOT, but for losing. And then, like, Rob Carter is the first Cambrian bunny EGOT, essentially.
And even the person who coined the term, Jensen, did not get nominated for everything.
He didn't achieve the full Jensen.
Right. Jensen didn't get nominated for best. Right? He
got nominated for worst argument and worst use of the English language, I think. And
it was definitely worst behaved. He got nominated for 3 of 4.
And he didn't win any of them. Yeah.
Right. So this is
Carter
a historic moment where Carter trumped the OG.
Uh-huh.
He's the new champ, dude.
Yeah.
Jensen dethroned.
Yeah, get wrecked, Jensen.
Once again, let's appreciate Jensen being a loser at losing.
Yes. All right. Hey, we got a few things to read. First, we've got for $2, Savage Perpetual Motion Lungs Cobra says Carter was swept. Absolutely, he was.
So sad.
By the way, I just gotta say, I love the meme that has developed on this channel of people changing their YouTube display names to include the stupidest things that creationists have said on my channel. It's so amazing, and I love every second of it. Thank you. I really do have one of the best audiences that has ever existed on YouTube. You guys are great. Now, Robert
Dapper, I concur on that, and it's definitely not because we share a huge audience.
Right. Yeah, if you're here, you're probably also a guts a given.
I think it's a nested hierarchy. If you go by subs of the people in this chat, it's a nested hierarchy.
I can't tell you how many people have commented on my videos saying either I'm here from Dapper, I'm here from Dan, like I'm here from one of y'all's channels is like the reason they find me.
It's like these guys all know each other.
That's crazy.
Now, hold on.
They all seem to, it's weird.
We want to do things like coordinate video releases about particular topics, so that there's 3 videos coming out.
When Carter was like, I knew I was gonna get a lot of heat for this, and when 3 of the biggest haters of me and what I do decided to release a video, I knew I was on the right track. And we're like, no, Carter, we know each other. We just gossiped about you. Thought it would be funny.
It's like coincidentally, it's just it's just that we each coincidentally released a video at noon on the same day.
Yeah, it's not like we're in a group chat anywhere or anything. That's not a thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very prestigious group chat. Everyone wants to be in it.
We're the cabal. We're the cabal that's at the bottom of the This is it. You're looking at it.
We're the cabal. I love that.
Man, I was under the impression that Cabal's get a lot more money than this. I want to
Yeah,
watch
me
a couple
too.
complaints.
Yeah.
All right, we have a few more things. Dr. Tapioca Weasel has gifted another 5 memberships. They went to
We still know who won this
Derek
category.
Henrik, Fight Mage Studio, Wolf Gaming. Sorry, not Wolf. Wolf Gaming. Charlie Owen, and hey, Zach B. Hancock. Congratulations, Zach, who's currently a little bit away. We're going to take 5 drinks, or you can take however many drinks you want. I don't care. There's no one.
It's a
Not a
lot.
soju.
I think you missed Robert Carpenter's super
It did
chat.
not. I'm going to be reading it. 3, 4,
Jordan, who's the professional
and
here?
5.
Dude, I'm just trying to help my friend make sure he doesn't miss something.
I appreciate it, Jordan. I'm with you on this one, Jordan. You did the right thing.
It's like when my kids tell me the light is green.
Do they ever ask you how many lights there are? And then you have to say there are 4 lights?
Literally every time.
Because remember, there are always 4. The correct answer to how many lights are there, or how many lights do you see, is 4. There are 4 lights. Robert Carpenter for $5 with their first super chat on the live stream. Thank you very much. Says, from one Robert C to another, congrats to my brother in Christ, Robert Carter, for going full Jensen. Yes. Now, let's see. We also have... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, as my friend and brother Robert Carter likes to say, are you actually a brother in Christ? Because if you are, then we're going to need to have a serious talk about attitudes.
Fade to Gray. Hold on. There's the Fade to Gray. Parentheses. Praise Luca. Close parentheses. Has gifted a membership to Mr. Anderson, and I will take a drink for that. Ooh. Then Savage Perpetual Motion Lungs Cobra for $2 says Carter is the source of the name. And then Dr. Tapioca Weasel gifted a membership, and it went to, let me find out, Ernex404, so we'll take a drink for that. And then, of course, Steve Reno gifted 5 more, going to Rana K, Sam Stutler, The Fallen from Heaven, Bob Knob, and John D. So here's 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Were we up to runner-up or second runner-up in this category?
Let me double check.
That was runner-up.
That was runner-up?
because
Oh,
that,
Carter is the
that
first runner.
guaranteed that Carter got the gene.
Yeah.
Is
That
this
was
worst
the- yeah.
argument?
Yeah,
This is worst argument. Erica, he's doing it from fewest votes to most votes. So it was best behaved, worst overall. No,
This is
It
how
was
you
best
hold...
behaved, worst use of the English language, worst overall. Yeah.
This,
And now
this
worst
whole thing
argument,
where
yeah.
we go from least votes to most votes and like second runner-up, first runner-up, winner, it's all just a vast conspiracy to keep the people who were on the channel actually engaged and watching this late into the stream. That's
you
it.
want to keep people. You got no.
Sure.
Look,
Correct.
that's why the Oscars do best picture is what they do last, right?
Yeah.
So if it's 12-15, you're still watching, right?
The Ponzi's.
Hippopunk,
It's all
half dog,
Steve.
half canine, which I just love because so much of creationist argumentation comes down to like,
That's hilarious.
show me a half dog, half canine, except you replace it with like human and ape, and it's like,
Every time.
that is.
For
Every
$5, she says, sticking with this name because young Earth creationists will never get why half man, half ape is dumb. And also, I love dogs.
I like
Both
that.
are. The first one is true, and the second one is a
Entirely
very
valid.
reasonable thing to say. I like dogs too. Look, there's 2 dogs here. Let me make sure that I have caught up.
I
With
have no
everything.
idea who won this category. Now.
Okay.
I have
The
no
winner
idea.
Of
Who could
I
it
the
be?
have
young
thought.
Earth creationists who gave
I
the
hope
worst
it's Jensen.
argument in 2023
Is it Jensen?
with 41% of the vote is
It's gonna be.
the SFT channel for the heat problem.
Everybody, give a hand for the brain
That's
trust.
huge.
Well,
That is huge.
Is this the first time the brain trust has
First time
won?
ever.
I don't actually remember.
Is
I would
this
have to
the
look
first time
back.
Brain Trust has
I
won?
would have to look back. I don't actually remember.
I think it might be.
Yeah,
Hey, everyone-
SFT gang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
congratulate both Donnie and Ramat on their victory.
And
The biggest losers.
McQueen. Don't forget
And
McQueen.
McQueen.
Yeah.
And the dude they had on, like a month ago that like destroyed.
Oh,
the
he was
X
such a
across the
star.
board.
All right,
He
I
was
will,
such a star.
I will say
Honestly, you
this.
couldn't have asked for a better guest.
I will say this. SFT, you can your channel. So Donnie, you as the leader of the SFT channel, Donnie, if you email me and request actual trophies, I will print up to 4 and they can say what you would like them to say as long as it is the name of a channel member or the channel as a whole with the name of this award, right? And I will send those out as long as it's not going to be like, like $100 of international shipping or something. But yeah, contact me. And that goes for all the winners, because all the other ones have been individuals. If you watch this, feel free to contact me, and I will send you a 3D printed version of the Cambrian Bunny Award trophy in resin. I'll cure it and everything. I won't sand it or paint it, but yeah. And we'll have your name.
Here's the opportunity. Here's the opportunity for Donnie to beat the allegations that creationists are never funny. Because if he ordered one of those and put it in his background, all of a sudden it would be like this is hilarious.
I wanted to say on Donnie's shelf so bad, right? Like the shelf in the background. It must be on Donnie's shelf.
If any creationist was going to do it, Donnie's the one.
Yeah,
right.
Fair.
Donnie deals.
Donnie deals.
Yeah. Mabbity Babbity for $5 says, "It's my birthday. Catching up, great people. I love you." Well, happy birthday, Mabbity Babbity, and thank you so much. Mabbity Babbity is one of my biggest contributors. Mabbity Babbity is on one of the highest tiers over on Patreon, and I really appreciate it because it really means a lot. So yeah, there we go.
Dude, I had somebody the other day say to me, it was somebody like, it was in the context of Twitter or something. Like they didn't perhaps know about Donnie or about, what I do or anything like that. But the comment was like,
blessed existence that must be.
Can you imagine, first of all, can you imagine? Like, I know it's literally like my dream, but no, it's not because I'm hopeless. But he said, the person said, they were like, to me, creationists have always reminded me of like used car salesmen. And I was like,
you don't say.
By the way,
you have no idea how right you are.
You guys didn't hear it, but I accidentally triggered a Godzilla sound, so we're taking a drink for Godzilla. So there you go.
I'll say, you said that, what a blessed existence. I'll say that I actually have to give a shout out to Young Earth Creationists, because if it wasn't for SFT in particular, but Young Earth Creationism Online, I never would have met this group of people who are now very close friends of mine. So in a small way, SFT has improved my life.
That's, you know what?
A small way. Hang on, a small way. Come on.
I'm not giving him full credit.
Hold on, I want to second this because, like, I also had no idea that Young Earth Creationist was still a thing like 2 years ago. I was in undergrad and then grad school, and I was like busy and like not really thinking about like the broader. Like I was brought up in Young Earth Creationism, but I assumed that it was like a thing that died a long time ago. But then during COVID, I just like started watching a lot of YouTube, and it was Donnie's channel that I came across first, and it was like his open debate that I came across, and I was like, "What the hell is this?
Oh man,
exist?" And I just like started commenting on his channel, and then like was having back and forths with people, and then I found like all of you, and I was like, "What? Like this is a whole world." And
sorry about the Godzilla sound, everybody.
I am only here because of SFT. So to be clear.
I will say I had a similar experience. The time frame is longer because like of the people in this stream, it's just Erica, but a bunch of our friends also go way back to the Reddit days. And I was in grad school, and I was way deep in the intelligent design like blog wars back in like mid-aughts. And then like I went to grad school. I graduated college 2009, went to grad school, and I just like stopped paying attention to it because ID was
dead in the water. Yeah.
I was dead, and I didn't pay attention to it. And then like 2013, 2014, I hop on Reddit, and I was having a conversation with this dude who was well enough informed. Erica knows exactly who I'm talking about.
I know who
guy. His original username was Joe Coder. And we're having a conversation. Halfway through, I'm like, it starts to like in the back of my mind, because I've done nothing except argue with ID people, right? Like that's who I'm familiar with. And I'm like, this weird thing is going on. And in the middle of this mile-long Reddit thread at one point, I was like, hang on. How old is the planet Earth? And he was just like, well, we don't really know. And I was like, no. We definitely know. Is that what I'm dealing with here? And that was in like 2014, 2015. I was like, oh, the Yeks are back?
That's the thing, right? It's not just like intelligent design. It's
never left.
I know, they never left. I know. But it was just, it was this, because if your introduction, I didn't start paying attention. I mean, I was in high school in the early aughts, right? So like, I didn't start paying attention to this stuff until probably 03, 04. And then I was in college starting in 05. And it was all intelligent design. '05 was the year of the Dover trial. It was all, it was Panda's Thumb versus Uncommon Descent. Like, that's what I did.
Do you remember when I personally asked Behe if he thought that intelligent design could pass muster as science after all these years based on the criterion in the Dover trial? And he was just like, no. Okay.
Yeah. That video, by the way, I recently looked for that video on the Wayback Machine, and it's unfortunately not there.
Boo. We got a couple things. Dr. Tapioca Weasel gifted a membership, and it went to Meta Jetta, so congratulations. I'll take a drink for that.
Did we delete it? Who deleted it?
It was Canadian Catholic was the channel, and the whole channel's gone, and there's no saves on Wayback.
No.
Frixie, long names are fun. Sub to Dapper Dinosaur for more. Purple, for $2, says, I think Carter should get a consolation trophy. Here's the deal. Robert Carter, I know that sometimes you watch my channel. If you're watching this and you would like a consolation...
Or mine.
Right. If you're watching this and you would like a consolation trophy, here's what you have to do. It
says the full Jensen on it.
You have to go to my Amazon wish list and get me both a new bottle of printer resin and the alcohol to clean your trophy. But if you do both of those, and then also send me the postage that it's going to take to send you this trophy, I will 3D print a consolation trophy for you specifically.
I will do you one better. I will personally finance his full Jensen trophy
if he wants one. Yeah,
if he wants it.
If he wants one, I will put up.
I will pay half. Like I want this to happen so bad.
Make this happen.
Email me.
Can we just agree among all of us friends here? Just in private, nobody else, just us, just us friends here.
Just pals.
Carter is messy enough that he might be the one that puts the trophy in the video.
God, he's so messy, dude. He's so messy. He is such a diva. I love it. I love Rob Carter.
I will say, I like his locations.
Robert Carter is the funniest, too. He has such a golden opportunity here. He could do the funniest thing ever.
If Carter does that, I will nominate you for Best Creationist.
One thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is, because the SFT channel was nominated for the heat problem, how many times have they said the heat problem is gone or destroyed or obliterated or something hyperbolic?
At least.
No.
Way more. It's way more. Well, I mean, to be fair, at least 4. Just a lot more than that.
4 dozen
13 is more than 4.
It's true.
You have to count all the times too. Like, it's never, hey, we might have a solution. It's always like heat problem taken behind the house and mercilessly shot before dismembered and thrown into the river. It's like, Donnie, chill. You're about to have McQueen come on and ramble incoherently for 2.5 hours before he talks about the blobs again. I know how this goes.
Blobs. By the way, can I just say something happened to me recently professionally, and the word blob came up. And in the context of Amoebozoa, and I almost started laughing, and I had to not explain why that was funny to me.
You have to go so many layers down.
I'm sorry. I know. But the word blob has been ruined for me because
I was in New York recently, and there was an incandescent, Central or not Central Park, Times Square advertisement, and at one point the word blobs was on it, and it was like that scene from Blade Runner. I was looking up at it, and I was like, my face illuminated by the advertisement. I was like, oh my god.
By the way, Dr. Tapioca Weasel just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. They went to Macula Korea? I think, look, if I get your name wrong, please correct me. Matt Deeg, Optimist, Rhyme 69.
Using the international phonetic alphabet, please.
Ideally, but not necessarily. Uomovero and Atheist Carpenter, which is another AC initials kind of guy, right? We got a lot of, that was RC. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had too much
air conditioning.
1, 2, 3. You guys aren't participating.
There's too many drinks.
I'm out of water, dude.
I'm out of water.
I've been drinking a lot during this stream.
Everybody 3 drinks. She went through them all.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to respect their own limits and don't do anything unhealthy, please.
That's why I highly encourage, if you want to play with water, juice, soda, whatever, feel free.
Also, I'm out of soju.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. Actually, I am too.
I know.
I had some. I paid extra to get some pomegranate soju last time I was at the international market, and it was so worth it. That stuff was so delicious. Oh my god!
I'm not like out. I'm out in what I grabbed, and I'm not going to grab more because I don't want to like throw up.
Fair.
We were celebrating a friend's birthday today, and I had a margarita at like noon, and it kind of like knocked me out of commission like at the time, and so I'm just kind of over drinking today.
Yeah,
Erica, after being at your wedding, yeah.
Those who were present know exactly how well I can hold my liquor, and the answer is not very.
Not well.
Well, we all know that when we were doing Eric with Erica, you would drink like a couple White Claws, and that would be it. It'd be like, oh, Erica's drunk after 2 White Claws.
Eric with Erica got me so drunk sometimes. Like, actually, that was a very dangerous show to watch. Speaking of which, for those of you who've been following my exchanges with Eric Hovind on Twitter, he has reached out. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, nice.
We got to do like an Eric with Erica special where there's an actual Eric Hovind present live.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to be like, hey, Eric, listen, there's some things you might find online. I'm really sorry about that.
What I love is that he was complaining about you making that 100K animation. That is beautiful animation. I love it.
Wait, he complained about that?
Yeah, because it was like, you have to show through animation.
He said fitting that proof for evolution should be a bunch of drawings, and it's like, sir, you could have picked any other video on the channel, literally any other video. This is an art piece. Calm down. But he did reach out, so credit where credit is due. We'll see what happens.
Hey, yeah, like it's the same thing as like, oh, hey, Dapper, you've got that cool dinosaur up there. Is that proof for evolution? No. It's just me on the channel. That's it. It's nothing else.
He's a VTuber.
Dapper's 3D dinosaur means the evolutionists are saying that ceratosaurs wore top hats and ties.
Mm-hmm. That's the only explanation. And also, we're big fans of, let's see, Warhammer 40K, Star Trek, Power Rangers, and Godzilla, and the Dark Crystal, which are all things referenced on the set right now.
They're real.
So before we wrap up here, I would just like to point out that the winner of this year's like worst argument is a continuation of a trend that we've all been enjoying for many years now, which is creationists trying to solve the heat problem and unsuccessfully carrying that out, which is always a joy. It's always fun. As I've always said, and as many of the other panel members here have always said, there's only one way that this ends, right?
Miracle. It's
going to be appeal to miracles or future physics every single time. This is the only finish line that Donnie can reach, and he is so reticent to go there. But every time he makes one of these videos, he's a little bit more sympathetic.
A little bit closer.
Kicking and screaming, white knuckling. It's the the younger creationist way.
All right, guys, we have a couple of super chats to read real quick, and then I think we're going to go around, like, probably clockwise, starting with Dan, and just say, anything else that's coming up on our channels. And then we're going to get out of here, and if we get new super chats, I'll read those after we get through the clockwise rotation, starting with Dan. Vince O'Connor for $9.99 says, here's a toast to the 6 of you. I stumbled across Erica's channel first, which led to Dapper's, then to everyone else's. Well, cheers, my friend. I'll take a drink for that, and I will even increment the drink counter.
There you go.
Then, Nuts for 1,000 yen says, been listening while driving and just arrived at the Dino Museum in Fukui, Japan. That's so cool. I want to thank all of you for for teaching me so much about evolution. Now I'm off to learn dinosaur words in Japanese. That sounds great.
Dude, that's so cool.
I am jealous. It has been so long since I've been to Japan, and I had a great time last time I was in Japan. I will go back.
I want to go so bad because my boyfriend has been.
It's Mark Agamotto 1313 Smith says, which one is Dark Crystal reference? Check the floor. Especially in my scripted videos that use my default set, where I start zoomed out and do a little dolly zoom in on my on me. You can tell that there's definitely the Dark Crystal is in fact the floor of the crystal chamber is my floor.
Bingo.
And actually, I spent like an entire week making that floor. It was such a big project. Okay, Dan, what do you get coming up in the next few weeks?
Oh man, normally when I appear on your channel, Dapper, and you're always very on top of asking your guests to tell everybody what's coming up, what are you doing? My answer is usually something along the lines of, I don't know. I get to it when I get to it, and I'll have some interesting things eventually, I promise. But since December, I've been trying really hard, and with 1 week of exception, I've been succeeding in having something to put out there in the world every Wednesday. And this week, the timing is perfect. I am so pumped for the video that I have coming out this coming Wednesday. That's the 20, whatever day that is, the 20... what day is that? 28th, I think, is Wednesday. It was 24th. I think it's 28th. It's a topic I've been meaning to cover for a long time, and we're finally going to do it. It's about pedigree mutation rates and how young Earth creationists misuse pedigree mutation rates to do their thing. And this video, I thought it was going to be short. And then I recorded it and edited it and uploaded it.
Be like 30 minutes?
It is. I will say it is on the far side of 30 minutes. We'll say, and I did not.
What a long video! Wow.
Video. Yeah,
I know. I'm sitting here with people.
That's
I'm
crazy.
Sitting here at the top of the third hour of a video on a channel with people who do long videos.
My most recent scripted video that went up for early access, an hour and 20.
For me, that's a long video. But look, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Dan, would this include a lot of really generous, let's call them gifts to the honor of creationist method?
I definitely at one point have to pause and speak specifically to other evolutionary biologists and say, look, you may be wondering, what the hell are you doing? I know I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing it the way the young Earth creationists are doing it.
That's so great.
And this is the most generous take.
And I want to be clear, when I said that, Zach, I want to be clear. That moment in the video was specifically for you.
This is important though. I feel like we do this a lot. We end up using their methods, which are horrible and are not the methods you should actually use. But we're trying to recreate what they did to show why they're wrong.
And they're still wrong.
Any scientist that would look at our methods and be like, why the hell are you doing it that way? That's
no.
Dumb.
Erica experienced this when she did the Tompkins thing because people were like, why would you do it this way? And you're like, I'm trying to replicate Tompkins' methods. That's why I'm doing it this way. So there's a moment in this upcoming video where I'm saying look, I know this is not how you do this thing I'm doing for real, but this is how Jensen and all the other young Earth creationists do it. So I'm going to show you that even if you do it this way, it's still you still get the wrong answer for them.
I need to.
And so I'm really, really excited for this video.
Nice.
I hope everybody likes it. It's on pedigree mutation rates and shameless self-promotion. If you are one of my 11 channel members, you already have access to this video. It's up already.
Nice.
So if you want it right now, become a channel member at any level, and you can watch my videos early.
So I have now been made a
Sorry, Dapper. Just one more thing. I also don't have a date set, but it's going to be soon with Zach and, as we mentioned earlier, Mr. Anderson, and we're going to talk about one of his SFT chats. So that'll be a lot of fun.
On genetic entropy.
On genetic entropy.
Nice.
One of my viewers has unfortunately turned me into a liar because I have to read this. This is from Chris Clark for $5, and here's the reason I have to read this. Because I have known Chris Clark for longer than I have known almost everyone I know in my life. So this is a person I've known since long before this channel existed. So I want to read this out. Who says, "Thank you guys for the work you do. I wouldn't have the patience." And yeah, I had to double check to make sure, is this the Chris Clark I'm thinking of? So I checked my Facebook friends list, and absolutely it is. So thank you so much. I didn't even know you were watching. I appreciate it, and man, it's so great that you're here. Mabdy Babby just gifted a Dapper Dinosaur membership, and it went to Katie Lewis, so we'll take a drink. Thank you very much, Mabdy Babby. And TD, what do you got for us?
Oh, I didn't even know you were going to ask me something.
I said I was going to start with Dan and go clockwise.
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten.
You're here.
You can say nothing, it's fine.
Depending on how one thing goes, I may be starting making videos again, albeit not on the channel I have. I think I'm going to make a new channel for it because this is a personal channel. It always has been, and I've basically reused it to do some very shoddy work for a little over half a year ago.
Okay.
Though I do like the two videos I made. I think those were good.
Mirror them on your new channel.
There you go. That's how to do it.
That's the way.
Zach, what do you got for us? What do you got coming up here?
So, anyone that's watched my channel knows that I haven't put anything out since early January. I've been super, super busy, but today I have recorded the long spoken about waiting time video. This is a topic that I have long wanted to broach because it's like one of those like creationist ideas that has been around for a really long time. And it turns out 2024 is the 20th year anniversary of the Behe and Snoke paper, which came out in 2004. And so I'm using this as a like the 20th year anniversary of the origin of the waiting time problem is how I'm kind of pitching this.
Nice.
So I go through the whole history of the waiting time problem, how it came up. We go through Behe and Snoke's model. We go through John Sanford's model in 2015. We go through Hosger's model, which is the most recent one. We go through the whole thing. I create some simulations to like also try to mimic Sanford's model. I also go through Mendel's accountant. So all of those things are going to be covered in this video.
Nice.
We do a little math. We do a little simulations. We do a little history. I think it's going to be fun. I recorded it this morning. I'll probably get the edits and stuff together tomorrow. And so sometime this next week, I will premiere it. So I'm really, really excited about it. So that's the main thing I've been working on. After that, I might finish up my Causes of Evolution series, which I only have one cause left, which is gene flow. Spoilers, but that's the last thing that I need to. The last one.
It's a great series. Everybody watch that series.
Hey Dan, that reminds me. Remember that time that you asked Kent Hovind what the mechanisms of evolution were?
Yeah, you couldn't name them. Yeah, you couldn't name them. You didn't know anything.
I actually rewatched that not that long ago because I was. Spoiler alert, I actually have a card linking to one of your videos in the video that I just put up for early access recently. Because basically I was like, look, I don't want to cover this because it's going to take forever, but Dan already covered it in way more depth than I'm going to, so here's a link. But yeah, as a result of that, it was looking through your back catalog, and I was reminded of that, and I was like, oh, that's so painful. But it's not as painful as, do you remember him describing the genetics behind sexual reproduction?
Oh, I remember. I remember because in that same conversation, when I said, can you name the mechanisms of evolution, like 10 minutes later, the thing that made me lose it live on stream laughing was when he doubled down on how mom's DNA unzips and then dad's DNA unzips, and then one strand from mom and one strand of dad zips up together, and that's how it works. And my friends, that is not at all how it works. And I want to say this actually on that. I have one regret about that stream. I think I handled that quite well. I have one regret, and my one regret about that stream was before I left saying, hang on, Donnie, do you agree with how that works? Mm-hmm. Do you agree with what he just said? And since we're here and there are a bunch of people watching, I want to say, if you get a chance, ask Donnie that question.
Absolutely. For $5, Dr. Tapioca Weasel says, link to all the panel in the chat. Thank you very much. And yes, you did. Actually, I will pin that real quick. Let me pin that.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Shameless shill for Bad Science Sunday. Shameless shill for Bad Science Sunday tomorrow at Maya Adkisson's channel with the link for that. And yes, that's actually a show I've been on. I had a lot of fun when I was there. Go check that out. Jordan, what do you got for us?
We got two things coming up pretty soon. So on Monday, we'll be talking. Well, we already did it, but it'll be released. Talking to Chrissy Hansen about Galatians 1:19, Jesus' brother. This is the thing that's big in Jesus mythicism, and in my opinion, completely destroys their entire argument. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to destroy this argument, but I mean, this is one of many things that destroys the argument. So that was a really fun conversation. And then we also have recorded episode 2 of our carbon dating Shroud of Turin series. So somehow, I don't honestly know how, we've become like the Shroud of Turin people.
I love that.
It's crazy to me that you're getting 2 episodes out of just carbon dating the Shroud of Turin. Like, specifically that one object.
I love it.
My goodness.
I I remember the previous Shroud of Turin series and all
I
the
do
stuff
too.
that went into the dating aspect of it, and like, well, if it was this part and that part and the trajectory, and it was like all this stuff. Give me 2 more hours on that, please.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry.
Yeah.
There's this next episode is at least an hour, and there's 2 more coming after that, baby.
Nice.
Like we've got plenty
Oh
of
my
ground to
God,
cover.
Jordan.
I'm getting emails from. They call themselves syndenologists, people who research Shroud of Turin, and they're like, "Hey, I heard you're doing this thing. Make sure you address my paper." Like, I happen to know a guy who is like in
Amazing.
their
That's
group
so
chat,
funny.
and like I am their like arch nemesis. This rando in a t-shirt and a bow tie is just like every time I put something
I
out.
love that.
By the way,
you're doing-
I need to point out,
Look,
this
if
show
you-
is the reason that t-shirt and bow tie exists. The Cambrian
sure.
bunny is where that originated because I called out Jordan for being underdressed because this is a very fancy show. So
Yeah. So yeah, so if you are a patron, then you can see the Chrissy Hansen show now, and the other one as soon as it's uploaded. That's what we got coming up, and after that, we'll have at least 2 more on carbon dating.
Nice.
So yeah, plenty of Shroud of Turin is the gift that keeps on giving, baby.
I just want to say for Jordan and for everybody, if you are doing science, like pseudoscience debunking on the internet in any way, shape, or form, if there is a sub-community for which you personally are like the final boss, you are doing something right.
yes.
Okay? There should be somebody somewhere. If you are doing pseudoscience debunking, there should be somebody or some group of people for whom they like have your name circled in red
Yeah.
somewhere, right?
Every
Yeah.
video I post, Bob Rucker writes a 3-book novel.
In
in the
other
comments.
words, you should have a second home. Everybody doing pseudoscience debunking should have a second home, living rent-free in some asshole's head.
All right, we got a couple things, and then we're going to go on to Erica. Pibblepunk, half dog, half canine for $5 says, "I'd like to thank all of our hosts for coming today. It's been so much fun. Looking forward to next year." And I am too. Look, the Cambrian bunnies it really is just a time for like us to just cut loose, have fun, hang out with the chat, and just goof off. And then Bugged Out for $4.99 sends a blank super chat as their first super on a live stream. So thank you very much, Bugged Out. I really appreciate it. If there was supposed to be a message and you just for some reason, sometimes YouTube glitches a little bit, tag me and put the message in there and I will read that out. Otherwise, thank you so much. And then Erica, what do you got coming up for us?
Oh, dude. At any given moment, I feel like I've got like 4 projects like in various stages of being like scripted or planned or edited or filmed or whatever. The thing that's definitely coming out the next big thing is I'm coming after Robert Stepper again. I'm really excited about it because it's not just me that's been poking him this time. Big TikToker Zeke Darwin has been messing with him. T.D. Lane talked about a historian that got in trouble with him earlier. Seth Shaggy has also been messing with him. Chris Stringer explicitly, I got his take on this. I was like, "Hey Chris, I'm making a video. Can I get your opinion on this?" And he was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So got Chris Stringer dunking on Robert. It's going to be amazing. I'm excited for that.
Nice.
After that, I've got I'm remaking an old video for my 100K special. So I'm excited for that. It's like the first video of mine that ever did any.
Wait, hang on, Erica, did you recently hit 100,000 subscribers?
Yeah, also
I did.
congratulations.
Congratulations, yes.
I was really excited about it. It was a big deal for me. I've never in my wildest dreams, I already gushed romantic about that. But so I'm doing that one. Those 2 are coming out. And then I've got something that I'm working on, but I'm still like running experiments on it actually. A paper came out in that ICC report that I brought up in our chat. The one
It's
about the
International Conference of
reliability.
Creationism?
Yes, the reliability of radiometric dating.
Ooh.
So I'm extremely excited to talk about it because with the help of my lovely husband, I think I figured out how to take their methods and just like run them on the actual most recent data set, which I don't know if you guys know this, but of course nobody knows this besides us because this is like a terminal a terminal interest here. But it's like they took all of these the data sets and squished them together from 2003 about radiometric dates, and then they were like, haha, it's X amount accurate. And the spoiler is it still turned out to be ridiculously accurate. Despite the fact, this came out this past year, despite the fact that we have a data set from 2011 and from 2023, Why didn't they use either of those? Well, we're going to find out why. But I'm excited. I'm excited for it. So that's coming. I've got a transitional hominins thing on the back burner that's been there forever. I've got a Carter video on the back burner that's been there forever. So I'm drowning is the answer.
Okay.
Can I just, before we move on, I just want to kind of fill everybody in. So, Erica, it's not your field, radiometric dating, strictly speaking, but this has been your thing for a really long time. And for a long time, everybody, there's a subreddit called Debate Evolution. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, Erica had a post on there. I think the title was something like radiometric dating is totally accurate, something, something, something. And for a long time, if you sorted by top all time, that was the number one post on Debate Evolution.
Way back when.
And this is from like 2014, 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. And
Erica, were you even in high school in that time?
I'm 28. I was graduated. I was at least a freshman.
And anytime something comes up with radiometric dating, that's what I Google. And like, because it's a comprehensive take on it. So I encourage everybody to, go seek that out if you have questions about radiometric dating.
Well, Dan, first of all, thank you so much for that. I was happy with that write-up. I still think it works for like a really basic understanding of hey, point A to point B. But for many reasons, not the least of which because of Jordan, I've actually gotten to learn a lot more about radiometric dating. I've read a ton of books on it, like that took a lot of stopping and Googling because it's usually geologists or like the physics guys who are explaining it. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So then it's like a big detour to figure out what's going on. But I'm really excited for this because one, I've gotten to play around in R a little bit more, which I hate R, but any opportunity that I get to learn R and get better at it is good. I don't hate R because of what it is. I hate it because every time I type in it and then I type and I scratch in my head and I get so angry and then it's like I come back the next day and it's like, oh, I didn't close my bracket. And that's why my code isn't working.
What's the anthropologist version of R? What do y'all use if not R?
We use R.
You just hate it anyway.
They just hate it. They just hate it.
Okay. I thought maybe
I just hate it.
They use R, but their blood pressure is 20 points higher.
Yeah, we use R. It's like and I learned it when I was doing primatology stuff. So we worked with like these giant data sets of like baboon weaning times and average rainfall and like all this, making models and fitting your models and all that kind of stuff. It's extremely frustrating because it's my first foray into art. I like it a lot more than I did then now, but I still find it very frustrating because I just get worked up about it and then it's like I need to take a step back. But it's a great tool, and I'm excited. We'll see what we find. I don't know, and I'm trying to cross my T's and dot my I's so I don't get another Carter situation on my hands. But we'll see.
All right. A couple things. Bugged out for $4.99. Subsequently super chatted to say, I cannot believe I messed up my first super chat, so now I have to do another. Anyways, people like you make me love science 10 times more. Well, thank you very much, Bugged Out. I really do appreciate that. It really does mean a lot because, look, fighting pseudoscience, it feels like a very Sisyphean task, right? Like, no matter how much or how thoroughly you debunk whatever it is, the pseudoscientists are going to be right there the next day, even if they watched whatever it is that you produced, saying the same stuff and not even acknowledging that there was a counter. And it can be it can be disheartening. And so knowing that there are people out there who really do appreciate it really does mean a lot. Also, Dr. Tapioca Weasel gifted a membership and went to Babbity Babbity, so I'll take a quick drink for that. And there, thank you very much. So that means it's up to me. What is coming up on this channel? Okay, so Tuesday is the next
6 months.
Well, no, we're only going to go a week out. So, King Charles I of Stupid, Jackson with Jackson number whatever it is. We'll be taking a look at Charles Jackson. And yes, the thumbnail is indeed Charles Jackson's face photoshopped on top of King Charles' face during his coronation.
Art.
Yes. So that'll be Tuesday. That'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, so the same time as this show. That is Tuesday. Then on Thursday, I will be premiering Batty Bodie's Dinosaur Delusions, the movie, which is a supercut of my Batty Bodie's Dinosaur Delusions, which is about Bodie Hodge. That was like a 4-part series, I think. And so this is going to be a long video. If you come to watch that, bring popcorn and a snack or something. It's not going to be something you can watch in your lunch break. But that will be at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then on Saturday, so a week from today, I will be continuing to take a look at ridiculously stupid claims about the Hebrew language. Specifically, this time we're going to be taking a look at the claims of a Black Hebrew Israelite, which, if you don't know what that is, it's definitely not what the name says it is. So, just going to put that out there.
King of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Just
So, this is going to be a person who does not understand the most basic aspects of phonetics. Who's going
Does
to
it end in
lecture us.
anti-Semitism, Dapper? Does this cyclone also
It
land us in
basically
anti-Semitism?
starts in
Wow,
anti-Semitism.
crazy.
So,
Crazy.
Just anti-Semitism.
if you watched my previous stream, I pointed out that Black Hebrew Israelites are predominantly anti-Semitic because they believe that they are the real Israelites and that the actual Jews who exist in the real world are in fact usurpers, and that the real Israelites are African people, various Hispanic and Latino people of whatever category. Like it's very confused, and also Native Americans. Those are the real Israelites. The Jews, no.
That's a very broad category, isn't it?
It is.
those are quite.
And so,
broad.
to be so, the thing is, it's an outgrowth of various anti-racist movements within civil rights movements, focusing on the mistreatment of Black people. So I understand where this is coming from, and they wanted to take onto themselves an identity from the Bible that has a history of overcoming oppression from foreigners. And I get that impulse, and I understand the linking of those identities. However, when you then go on to try to delegitimize another group of people who actually historically have that identity and who have also been oppressed historically, you've gone a bit far. And that's what the Black Hebrew Israelites do. And on top of that, they have all sorts of completely crazy takes on linguistics, which is what we're going to be focusing on. So that's going to be on Saturday. And also, Mabbity Babbity says, thank you at Dr. Tapioca Weasel, and also thanks, Dapper, Erica, etc. Love you all. Thank you very much, Mabbity Babbity. Guys, we are going to get out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I hope you stay safe out there. And hey, don't fall for pseudoscience nonsense. Just think critically. It takes practice, but it's not impossible. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. And yep, that's it for us. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Bentovend, Phil Javara, Tapioca Weasel, Whispers, Denny5252, Eleron Teller, Horseflesh, Ian Chen, Landon Knoll, Mabbity Babbity, Monkey They Them, Robert Carpenter, Sphincter of Doom, Vollus, Eddie McCoy, Ita V, and Strawberry Vein. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 10% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos, often 3 to 5 months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.